listening to the Bomb Hole.
Bomb Hole Podcast.
It's going to be very hot. It's going to be very uncomfortable for everybody.
The Bomb Hole.
I'm gonna slide down them big hills, you know what I mean, on the big, nice burgundy snowboard.
Okay, here we go again. Very excited about today's episode. It is presented by Pub Beer and Liquid Death. Now, first things first, I got to ask my friend Stony Buds, how are we doing today?
So good, my dog.
God, I love hearing that. Now, to my left, we have good friend and incredible human, Jake Kuzyk. Jake, how we doing?
I'm good. I'm giggly. I'm gonna be a giggly guy through this. You guys are amazing.
Thank you. It's
like weird hearing it. I'm like, oh my god, this is it.
Well, we're about to go on a little banter marathon excursion, if you will.
Sure.
We're gonna have some fun. For the people that are unfamiliar with you and your body of work, we'll call it.
Okay. Yeah.
You've pretty much one of the best video part kind of snowboarders of all time. You got video part of the year for Landline, which if you haven't seen is absolutely incredible. We're going to talk about all that stuff, tons of snowboard talk. Also, one of the earliest openly gay male pro snowboarders to come out. So that's huge. We're going to get into that. And first things first, I think we should run it back to the Peg, a.k.a. Winnipeg. So you're from an area.
That's the beginning right there for sure.
Where there's not too many pro snowboarders from there. It's basically farmland. What's
I mean,
going
more
on
than
with,
you would think, though, too, to be honest. Like, especially from when I was young and coming up, even compared to, like, I hate to say it, even now. There's, like, I feel kind of lucky because we were, like, snowboarding in this moment where there was, like, quite a few people and the community was, like, really strong. And we had guys like Andrew Jeeves and, yeah, for sure. Legend. Andrew absolutely needs one of those. And then Kevin Griffin and like so many other pals. Jody Washniak is still doing it. Dare Reed, who is amazing. And like we were also sort of like just really, really into it, you know, like equally as like each other. So that was like really, really special because I kind of don't. It's rare, you know, that you actually have that, especially from a place like Manitoba where there's just not much cultivating the scene and the mountains don't really like produce these like insane snowboarders all the time just because, well, literally there is no mountains. It's like actually the flattest place, I think, like in North America, maybe. Or like I'm willing to like maybe just try put some money on that because it's crazy.
I was looking at a picture
We got Kansas. It's probably like that, huh? Just flat.
Pretty much.
I've actually never been to Kansas, so I can't even say.
You can just see as I can see.
Yeah, no, straight up. I'm like at night on the highway, you're driving and you just see lights coming at you, like one set of lights, and it's like 20 minutes. You're just watching them come. It's ridiculous, but
the picture of, is it called Spring Hill Winter Park?
Yeah, that's it exactly.
So there's a picture that we'll put on the screen, and it's basically like you can see this tiny little resort, and it literally just looks like farmland all around. There's like nothing around.
Well,
from
okay,
that angle.
the scoop on it is that like, so, and I can't remember the exact year where they did this, but the city of Winnipeg built this ditch all around the entire city, and it's called the Floodway, and it's sort of like there's this river, the Red River, that runs through the city of Winnipeg, and when all the melt happens in the spring, all of the snow sort of like goes into the river, and all these homes are on the embankment of the river, and like it gets really, really full, and it can flood everything, and it's happened many times. So they built this floodway, which is where all the water like floods out to in the spring, except in the winter, there's nothing on it. It's just this like triangular freaking like ditch thing, and that's where they put the rope tow. So it's literally like they built this ditch, and then somebody was like, I don't even know how it worked exactly, because it must be like, I don't think you can like lease that land. I don't know how it works, but they like just put a rope tow on it, and the world's at some point, definitely when I was young, it was the world record shortest high-speed quad chair.
That's so sick.
Yeah, and there's one tree because they all get washed away in the flood.
Well, I got to ask because I like to refer to it as the Peg. Now, as like a local, is that chill? Like, do you guys call it the Peg?
I mean, yeah, some people call it the Peg. I feel like maybe not anyone there, but it's definitely like if you bring it up, like I'm from Winnipeg, people will be like the Peg. They love that. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I get it.
Does the city get snow? Can you jib there?
Yeah, that's what we did. Like growing up with all those people I mentioned, like we just filmed each other, and we would just go and like hit street stuff. Like that was it. That was all we had.
I've been to every other city except Winnipeg.
I mean, there's nothing good there. No. There's like it's pretty painful actually. We were definitely like bleeding it dry for like anything. But it looks cool. It's an old city, you know. Yeah. Like it's like I think this is comparable to Chicago. Some people say like the downtown. I mean, that's like probably that's making it sound good, but you know.
Okay, I think it's kind of a perfect segue from a question from a dear friend of both of ours, Mr. Latex Manchi.
Yes.
Manchi Bungee.
I was hoping.
He does not go by that,
Punchy.
but maybe it'll stick.
I think he bunged a little bit this winter,
Did
maybe.
he go bungee back? He
Yeah.
actually was telling me
He's not afraid to. When
he
it's got to
owns
get done, he'll do it
he said
for
he
good
owns
reason.
multiple bungees. So
Oh, really?
yeah, he was telling me that on the phone while I was doing the research for this. Okay, here we go.
Hey, what's up, Chris, Buds, and Jake? My question for you, Jake, is just what was it like when you first started filming, and what inspired you to start filming video parts? I know that you used to film skateboard parts as well, and did that come first? And when you did get in the streets and start filming snowboarding, what kind of trials and tribulations did you go through, and what did you find to be the most difficult? All right, guys. Love you guys, and I hope you're having a good day, and I'm really excited to hear this episode. Peace.
Oh, that was sweet. Jed. I feel like he was probably driving around in his truck. Kind of sounded like it.
Yeah.
He said he'd been scoping for spots.
Yeah, he just got a really cool new 4Runner, I think he got. It's nice, cool, like kind of, yeah, there you go. Nice vehicle. It's his first one, I think, in a while, too. Yeah, so I started skating, and then I think I started snowboarding the following winter. We started filming. I always had a camera. I don't know what it was. I can't even like put that one all the way back. Like I just had this, first I had this like really tiny mini DV Canon thing with one of those like classic squeeze clip-on fisheyes that you bought from like whatever Leo's camera store, whatever you would have. And like, so I always had one of those, and we filmed skating in the town I grew up in and stuff like that. Always. And I was really into filming, probably more than being filmed actually back then. And so, yeah, and I just like grew and grew and grew. I was obsessed with like paying attention to like what people were filming with in the videos and stuff. And like, I couldn't afford any of it, but I wanted it. And then snowboarding was like right after that. And I didn't start filming snowboarding like anyone or being filmed for probably the first 3 or 4 years at least. But prior to that, we were always filming skating. And I actually was like, I found a group of people that were older than me, and they were super into it. And they were like, we're doing this every weekend, the full, like, you know, Friday to Sunday. I would get like dropped off in the city by my parents, and I would just like stay the night with these older guys, and we would just like film skating. And like we worked towards these projects, and we made them every single summer and like premiered them. Literally like what we do now, like the whole process, but like from a really early age, like 13 or 14. I posted a bunch of footage actually recently of this. It's kind of funny. And it like brought back all these memories for the first time in a really long time. And then I just think I got like sparked off that, and I was like, we can do this snowboarding. You know, I'm like, I love snowboarding. I have always had more fun snowboarding. So I was like, we have to do this now. And like I said, we had that crew and everyone was into it. And so I just started filming each other. At first it was just a video, like all in the park at that Spring Hill place. And some jumps, maybe there was a few street tricks, like barely. And then the second year, there was, then we made it like a little more legit. It was like no park stuff. Maybe, I think our rule was like just jumps, like in the park. And then like all street spots. And yeah, I don't know. I've just been doing it forever. And I've been like obsessed with both sides of it. Like it's weird to think about. But
now, who did you look up to at that early age? Like, who are you like, that's the guy? Or, you know, who are your early influences?
like snowboarding?
Yeah.
I was just talking with Mikey about this actually at the premiere 2 nights ago. But definitely the first video I saw that was like, okay, what the fuck, was Love Hate. Like I for sure. I had seen a bunch of stuff before that. Like I yeah, dude, it's like that's the best video ever. But I watched Optigrab a lot prior to that, which I still love so much. Actually, maybe more so now. And then we had like Stand and Deliver. That was kind of like, I think those were maybe the same year. And so I was into that stuff. But then once that came along, it was like, okay, I think I was 14 and I saw that and I didn't really know what to make of it. Like I didn't understand it back then. You were there like the whole time.
Yeah.
I remember we were watching it the other night and I was like looking at,
Little
there's that
cameos.
clip of you like standing there and like maybe like fingerboarding in the credits or something. It's super funny. But yeah, I just like loved it because it was so much more than just the snowboarding, but also the focus was always still there on the snowboarding and like everything around it, of course, but it was always kind of like tied back in. And, you know, there was so much more to read between the lines in a video like that than like anything to me that I had seen before. And yeah, just being a kid even, I was like, okay, what is up with this? Like, it took me 2 years to figure it out. I remember watching it like so much for 2 years. And then Burning Bridges came out the next year, and I think I loved that even more. And so all those guys from there, like Daryl, for sure, 100%. Shout out to Daryl Mathis, please, and thank you. Yeah, the absolute GOAT. I owe him probably more than absolutely anyone else.
The Spit song too, is that the
Dude,
Spit?
yeah, it was the Spit song.
So good.
Yeah, that was in Love Hate. And then like they just looked cool and they did their thing, and you could tell that it was like a step away from just everything else in so many ways, whether that was like the outfits and like the way they filmed it and the way it was cut, and just like, yeah. So pretty much every single person. I worship Justin Hebel. I thought Andy Forgash was like the coolest. He's kind of this like, he's got so much mystique to him, that guy, to this day for me. I like only met him once in Portland in like a restaurant for 2 seconds, and I was like, damn. But yeah, it was cool. Yeah, all that stuff, man. That was like that was it.
Solid.
Yeah.
While we're on the early day stuff, I have another question from an early day friend and current friend, Jody Wozniak from Airtime. Here we go.
Nice.
Yo, what's going on, Chris? Eastone. You got my boy, Jake Kuzyk, in the booth. How's it going, Jake? Have a good time. It's Jody from the Airtime podcast. I don't know if I can say that, but I did. What was it like to grow up in Winnipeg, my man? Maybe elaborate on any or all of the following: Chris Saniak's car, crowbar, and Anthony Hayward's house. Looking forward to this one. Peace.
That's amazing. That's a big question, but I'll try to do it in order and make it make sense. Anthony Hayward was like our childhood best friend. To this day, still a great guy. He lives like on the other side of the world. But he kind of was the one spot, everyone has it, where like it's the house where like everyone stays the night and links up, and it's like always the door is wide open, and they were like so nice and like whatever. So we would always stay there. That was just like where we landed. And then Chris Saniak, the guy he mentioned after that, he had, I can't remember, this Oldsmobile, one of those like old cars that like have like the 6-seater, like full bench style seating, and they just like ride so smooth. It was like brown or something. I can't remember what kind of whip it was, but he would just come and either stay with us or pick us up. He was about 3 years older than us, maybe 4. And he knew how to get around the city. He actually had been snowboarding way longer than us, and he was just like the best. So he would take us in and out everywhere. And it was just cool hanging out with this like sweet older dude that was just like kind of, I guess like, especially in where we were from, Jody and I lived like a bit more sheltered lifestyles. We had like really like good family situations, and we were like super lucky in that regard. And like, it was nice, I think, for me to be around someone like Chris, like in the city, and he just like, you know, had a bit more freedom and did what he wanted and was like rough around the edges and just like a good dude for all that, but still like just a total sweetheart, kind man. So it was like the perfect person to sort of take us in at that time. And then Crowbar is just this really awful downrail that we would go to like every single day.
It's a great nickname.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I was curious about Crowbar.
It was because Crowbar, it was like this rail that went down to that red, all the spots go to the river because it's the only thing with a bank. Mm-hmm. It was like they would like fence it off the right at the top of the set because it was front side and a backside rail, and they would fence it off so you couldn't get at it. And I think the first time someone like whatever like revived the rail, it was like they used a crowbar to rip down the fence, so it just got called Crowbar.
Great name. What'd you serve up on that thing?
It was really weird. It was like this round bar that was really flat. I think I did like a switch front board 270. I liked that one. Probably so. Oh, you know what? That was when I was doing like a lot of those really bad, like I thought they were so dope, but like where you'd like press and then like spin to the other side of your board and like
The swivels.
Yeah, but like I would be like, I'm like, it's different. I'm like pressing and I'm like really fucking
I'm kind of
trying.
rocking with it. I'm kind of rocking.
Yeah, I mean, there's a place in time, I think, now. I've actually been like rolling that one around in my head still for a couple
like
years.
in Canada too, I always saw people doing those.
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah. I mean, Jed was a freak at them.
Max
And like,
Legendre and
Yeah.
those guys maybe.
and at a time like that when we were doing that stuff on that rail, I didn't know Jed yet. I hadn't even like left Manitoba, but I like saw the shit he made with Graham Foy and stuff like that, like when they were like kids, like post forum. pre-Solomon. And so like I would like watch him and I was like, dude, he's so
He had a
legit.
gang called the Cheese Dicks. That was his shit.
I think it was a little after, yeah.
Oh, it was after?
Yeah, I
CD.
think I guess part of that. Yeah.
Oh, you were in the
Part of
gang?
crew.
I think so. Maybe it was a blog.
Oh, is that what it was?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Blogging.
I remember he just had it
It's
across his helmet.
a friend blog.
Yeah. Big old CD.
I love that about Jed. There's so much history with him. He's just kind of always done stuff like that.
Dude, so ahead of the curve
Yeah.
and all that. But I just want to dive right into, people refer to you as the Jibologist.
Okay.
And I don't know if it's, it's kind of part sports psychologist, part spot analyst, kind of like whether you're setting up a spot and doing a trick, you can either break down what needs to be set up at the spot or what the person body mechanic wise is doing wrong. I know with animals, you've told them a lot. You've helped them out a lot with how to set up spot or how to psychologically trick him into doing a trick or whatever it ends up being.
You know what? That in particular, I think is a skill I learned from filming. Like, cause I spend so much time in that environment, whether it's me doing it or me filming someone else do it, that you just learn these nuances of like when to sort of leave it or when to jump into it or like what certain people need. And sometimes that involves like a bit of like manipulation, like that they don't even realize that they need, or like even they're like down for it. They know what you're doing, but they like the process. They're like, yeah, we're going to like, with filming, it's like, I'll get in the car and like, we won't talk about where we're going to go. And we'll pretend like we don't both have the same thing on our mind. Like we're going to go to that thing and you're going to try that trick or whatever. But when we get there and you like, don't take the camera out for a while and like all these kinds of things. And so like, I think just like with someone like Dan, I just like naturally do those things with him and him with me. Actually, he's like one of my favorite people to film with. I've probably gotten some of my best stuff because he slows me down and then I maybe just like knock some sense into him and then it's good. I love it. Yeah.
Well, going back to talking about the early videos that inspired you, and if you look at snowboarding from like a longer timeline, you watch the early videos, like tricks have just been refined and gotten better. And like maybe a switch 270 or 270 you saw JP Walker do in Decade is not the same one that you see Justin Benny do in Burning Bridges.
Yeah. Oh, shit,
and
yeah.
so what, I guess kind of, do you have anything to add to that kind of topic there?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think you and I can relate to this because like, we probably both started being like hooked up around a similar time.
Yep.
But like, that was at a moment where snowboarding was really focused, I feel, on like technical street tricks were really, really growing at that time and evolving quickly, but not to the point it is now. It was like still sort of like within this world of like rails, more specifically, like a lot of down rails, kink rails. And it was just like, what tricks can you do in those environments that haven't been done or whatever, And so especially like I'm a bit younger than like all the guys that were like out in Quebec, but them being Canadians and them being like hooked up and seeing them in these videos and like how focused they were on sort of the details that make up those tricks and doing them really, really well. I was like so inspired by that. And I think just the kind of person I am too, like the way my mind works, I like latched onto that really quickly because I was just like such fans of like obviously Louis and then Alex Cantin and like Laurent, LNP, like all of them. And they all have this like similar thread. And not even just them, like you mentioned Justin, like that move, that Cab 270, the switch frontside 270 Justin did, like it's like the best thing ever, ever. And so like that was happening and it sort of was like maybe perfect timing for me because I sort of like think like that naturally and move like that naturally a little bit. And so like I was just like developing my snowboarding kind of like in that world at that time. And I think, people, like you said earlier, you're like, oh, you seem to be quite refined and all this. It's just a product of like my personality and that moment in snowboarding that was like going on all around me. Because I wanted to be like, this is what they can do. I want to be that good. I want to be like right there. And I was like 2 years younger. So it was just like kind of that perfect window where I was like, damn, I have 2 years to like be in that video and like do these tricks and like, and it was a little easier to focus because it's like, it's just kink rails. It's just rails. And like, if you have a good drop in or some shit, you're like, you got the moves, you can do like 5 tricks in a day on one rail. And suddenly you're like, oh, I have like 1 million clips and like, whatever. So, I mean, I think it just was like this weird storm where that was like what was happening, and that was what I was doing. You know,
There's so much things. My brain's going off of cool shit to add there because I got multiple different directions I can go. But first things first, I got to say, around that time, if we're gonna be on some trick nerd shit,
Oh, yeah,
like,
let's go.
Like the nose slide 270s.
I don't even like
and,
that one.
And the
but
nose blunt 270s though, like you were on the forefront of that. I remember we were, where we were at in the States, and we're like, did you see that Kuzyk and the Camp of Champions that it do like a nose blunt 270 or
Oh
whatever?
my
We'd
God.
see it. It was cool like that. Nobody rocked with that at that point, but you were kind of blazing the trail on that.
Dude, at that time, that's such a ridiculous story. I was like,
I love this.
do you know the one? Yeah. Okay. I feel like we talked about it lots. I was at what's the bar in
Charlie's.
Charlie's,
I was
yeah.
at Charlie's, and I mean, I didn't come to the States that much at this point. I was like just starting, but I think it was when this footage had come out, and I'm like, hanging out with my friends at the bar, and then I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go to the bathroom, and I'm in there like taking a pee at the urinal, and like some guy comes next to me and like starts peeing at the urinal next to me, and I don't know who he is, and then he like turns to me and he's like, hey, is your name Jake? And I was like, yeah, like, and then he's
Weird
like,
time to talk,
yeah,
but
I'm like, okay, like, and then he's like, I just like wanted to say I absolutely love your no slide 270s, and I was just like, what? Like, this is so nuts. Thank you. I was like, that's very sweet of you. Like, I'm like, so weird. And I think like maybe it was actually like a homie in the end or something.
Totally.
I can't remember who it was, but yeah, like getting the compliment on your moves like at the urinal while you're peeing is like kind of crazy.
That's some legendary shit.
Yeah.
But also what you were talking about earlier, I want to bring back to kind of like explaining maybe just because you can do something doesn't mean you should, right? So a lot of people might say, take for example, like Seb Toots, for example, like, Seb Toots can do some fucking incredible shit on a snowboard. Like he can do rotations that I can't even count and like back rodeo onto rails. And
that's like something else though. That's like a different world.
That is
like I don't even feel like I like rest in that. Like that world, that aspect of snowboarding is just like, I'm like, there's something I do, and then that is just like, I don't know what else
Whole
that is.
different
It's just
realm,
like totally,
right?
I don't even like,
Yeah.
I actually try not even to like occupy my mind over there at all. Like people ask me all the time about like contests and who's doing this and what, and I'm just like, not only am I like honestly just so uninterested, but it actually like kind of, I'm like, if I pay any mind to that, it's just gonna like distract me from the things I'm trying to do over here with my friends. You
Yep.
know what I mean? Like, so yeah.
Well, to go kind of lean into that a little bit more. Take for example, you guys were both to hit a rail. Let's not say we don't need to use a name.
and Seb?
We don't need to use a name.
Sessioning?
But like yeah, session, right? Imagine like some people might let's say you're both hitting something. He goes front 350, front 3 off, right? And you're like, holy shit, that was like wild, right? Untrained eyes, like that was absolutely incredible. But you may go fucking pop, wait, front 2. Put it between the bindings, fucking hold it back to switch, like kind of like classically trained, good form, all these things. The trick looks right. And it's so funny because it's like I'm so much more drawn to a rider like you. And I asked myself, why? Why am I so much more drawn to Kuzyk? And it's like because the devils are in the details.
Yeah, well, you're a nerd just like
It's
me.
like an art, it's an art form
Yeah.
for Jake.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I look at it like, and sometimes it seems funny because it's like snowboarding. But at the same time, it's like we all love it so much, and like my entire life is based around this, And so like from a creative perspective, it's like if you're gonna put this much energy into something, this much of yourself, why wouldn't you do it? Like not only the best you can do it, but like pay attention to these things so that like it can be so much more than just something like difficult, And I get way more satisfaction out of that, like. I can watch things at the end and be like, oh, I like really cared about it and I really tried. And like, based on all of these things that I, find important and like hold true, like I'm really proud of what we did. You know what I mean? And like that to me is like so much more interesting, and you can see it. You can like, not everyone I feel like can see it, unfortunately, but like those who know, and you can spot it from a mile away, like, was it me and you talking about like the new videos that just came, Good Sport,
Yes,
and like
absolutely.
and
Cole's video.
and Cole's video living room. Like I've seen a lot of snowboarding stuff this winter already. It's October now or whatever. I'm not sure if we can date the time where we are here, but
That's okay. Yeah, we're a month behind.
yeah,
so
okay.
we're
But Yeah, and it's like I've seen a bunch of videos and they're great. They're actually better than they've ever been by far. But then, you know, the other night we were at the premiere and we watched these two Good Sport and Living Room, and it's like there's something you just almost can't even put into words. Like they're just like, that's it. You know, like they gave it all and they care so much and they're so talented and they took their time and they like thought about what was going to make like a really great video and like a good experience for themselves and for the people who are going to get to see it after. And like, I love that. I like attached to that so strongly. And like, I'm so glad that not only is that still happening, but like to the level that these guys just did it is like beyond what I ever thought like I would be in and around, you know, like it was too, and we were talking about this, like Cole's video did something I think that hasn't been done in a while. Cole and John and everyone else that was a part of it, Mark O'Malley, but like they did something like truly kind of, it's really hard to make a unique video right now. There's just like the medium has just been like beat to shit.
Yeah.
And when you're filming something like snowboarding and it's like focused mainly in and around like tricks, it's really hard to get creative with it because you can like lose an audience, or you can like, you know, it always sort of has to come back to that. It always has to come back to the tricks. So to find like alternate ways of like building out a video to make it interesting, but still keeping your attention and keeping the energy, it's a hard thing to do that and to do it fresh. And like both those videos did it. And like Living Room to me, like from an editing perspective, like just did something totally new. And like, I mean, I'm sure there's like, I can see little influences, of course, but they did it in this way that I find to be like so honest and so impressive. Like I've seen it 3 times now and I'm like, okay, I'm still juiced. Like it's so good. So that was really exciting. Like to see that, you know?
And it's also the effect that those videos have on me too is, you know, I'll be totally honest. Sometimes like we're here at the Bomb Hole. We see so much snowboarding. We digest so much snowboarding. We're kind of in it, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
And you get a little desensitized at times, you know, to just so much footage and so many things. But when I watch those videos, like you said, I was basically like, this is it. This makes me proud to be a snowboarder. This shit makes me proud to do what we do and call, for lack of a better term, if we're going to put a label on ourselves, whatever, as a snowboarder, in air quotes, like, fuck, that's it, dude. That's the shit that is the sickest.
Yeah.
You know?
No,
and
sure.
you guys do a great job with Vans. And if you look at, it's pretty cool. It's like the arc of your career. You came up, awesome sandbox parts, sharpened your teeth, back 9 filmed by a heli. Which,
yeah, that was probably the last time I did a back 9, like 10 years ago or some shit. But
formative years. And you
Yeah.
seemed like you sharpened your teeth in those videos. Had a bunch of sick segments, some no slide same ways on some rails, some heat, and then you rode 32. You rode with like me and Scott. And,
which was the best.
And Joe Sexton. It was so, dude, we
Yeah,
had so
I
many
loved
fun
that.
years. We
It
went
was
to New
amazing.
Zealand. It was fucking awesome.
I still remember those trips like very vividly. There's moments that like you can't hold on to as easily. Now, I mean, dude, I think I've been a sponsored snowboarder for 14 years and like, or 15, and then like professional for 11. But I remember all those trips so good. They're like the best.
Totally.
I mean, they're also the first ones for me where I was like, I'm doing the damn thing. Like I'm like with these crazy guys and we're like so far away from home. And like, I don't know. It was so cool.
It was wild.
Eating insane food and just like hanging in like the van and like Joe just being so fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, Sexton
Yeah.
was on fire.
Where were you guys?
We had a memorable one in New Zealand,
Yeah.
I believe, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
We remember we
Sounds
had
like an
I
awesome
remember
crew.
some shit of you trying to like nose pick off the top of like a fucking speaker on top of a mini ramp and like hanging up so hard on the deck and going straight to your shoulder. And I actually have another story that goes through, but I don't know if we're gonna share that.
Yeah,
one.
let's not share that.
Let's try to cue up that footage, please.
Yeah, there's some more stuff that happened on that one.
Yeah, I might be in like a lawsuit for those.
Oh no.
Actually, you know
No,
what?
it's fall till you fall is all I'll say. Maybe,
I'll share it. Who gives a shit? All right, so
It's been a while.
This is a good time. We were in New Zealand, and a woman happened to like borrow my. I walked in to the bar, and a woman borrowed my jacket. She was wearing it, right? And
really nice 32 bomber.
it was a 32
Yeah.
bomber, just bombs over swag deck. We're talking this thing. It was pure flame. So I was like,
Literally, it said on the arm, ball till you fall.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Really?
Yeah. Oh yeah. That was
Yeah.
it was stitched on there.
We're starting to fall too, so we got to be careful that I got to reel in the ball in here. So no, but so she's wearing it, and it's the summertime here, and it's wintertime there, so we're in summer mode. I'm just getting shit faced back when I used to drink, and I go over to her and I pick her up and like throw her over my shoulder, but I was a little bit cross-eyed. I didn't have the best.
It was
balance.
later in the evening,
And
at
I
this point.
accidentally did like a slow tip, like reverse suplex.
No.
Yeah, like kind of just slow tip backwards, and I just literally like pile drived her directly into her head. It was bad.
Jeez, dude.
Yeah,
This is after like falling off the top of a speaker into the mini ramp. Like this is like, you know what I mean? Like, and like earlier in the night was like, I think Chris like judged like a scaffoldings contest in the street out front of the bar. Like this is like the night. You know what I mean? It's like it's
Queenstown or something
insane.
like that.
Full suplex.
Where I was going with this originally, though,
where are we?
So is
Holy
that you're on 32 is awesome, and then you went over to Vans, and like if you watch, once you got there, you filmed the welcome to the team part, which is incredible, and then eventually your landline part, which you really I feel like found yourself. Like there was like the Kuzyk formative years, and then there's like Kuzyk in landline, and you're like, fucking, let me put my stake in the ground. I'm here. I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah, that's cool.
You kind of found yourself, you know?
I mean, yeah, and also like you kind of breezed over it, but like for anyone listening, that's like 6 years. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like that wasn't like 2 years and it just happened. But it takes that long, like it takes that long. Like winter is short. And, you only get so much within it. And there's only so many years in your body and snow and everything else. It's crazy. It's kind of fucking crazy. Like, I feel like I step back from it sometimes and I'm like, dude, filming a video part in one winter is insane for anyone. Anyone that manages to do that, like, congrats. It's crazy, So it's really cool. But, it just takes that time, like,
especially to do it how you want to do it, to refine your style, to be the people you all mentioned earlier are all like the people that stick out and stand the test of time to me. And that's kind of what you're going for when you're riding. So
yeah. And I mean,
every trick is like a piece of art almost.
Yeah. And the things like too, like the spots and the opportunities don't always come. You have ideas every winter, or like you hope to, and you kind of like try to make them happen and manifest them. But like, I know personally too, I'm pretty particular with like when and what I want to snowboard on, and sometimes only so many tricks sort of work in that direction towards that spot in that moment, whether that's like all the things, so it's just like you can't get it all done, and it takes years of like sort of developing how you feel about it and knowing how you work too. That's crazy. Like I'm still learning that, like getting anxious or getting frustrated or getting like, you're away from home forever. Sometimes you're with people you like don't even know that well. It's like an emotional roller coaster. It sounds ridiculous, but it like totally is.
Yeah.
And, I mean, being on the trips is the best. I'm not dogging that at all. Like it's I wouldn't change it for anything, but it can just be hard, and like learning that process is just, it's nuts, And so I think, but also by the time we got to doing landline, I just knew that opportunity was so crazy. Like I literally would like go to bed at night while we were filming that video, and I would just sit there and be like, this is insane. Like I snowboard for Vans. That's like insane. I can't even put that into words still. You know what I mean? Like I straight up, like, I don't know, maybe I'll get in trouble saying this, but like I was on 32, and I was so happy to be there with you guys and had like the best time. But kind of like you said, there was moments in it where I knew that it wasn't really exactly me or what I was looking for as like a place to like land sort of indefinitely. And I don't know, even at that young age, I could kind of sense that. Like I was like really grateful for the opportunity, and like so many amazing people brought me there. Dave Burney and Vancouver got me on initially, and like it was like just like it was give Dave one of those. And like it was like it all made sense, and I'm so glad I did it. But there was a moment where it just sort of like changed and ran out for me. And I was just like, this isn't it. And I want to do something else. And I want to do something more. And I want to like be a part of it more, like I can be like a bit of a control freak, I guess. So like in some ways I'm like, I just want to have my hands in this more because I like love it. And so,
you care.
yeah, and like, it was like, it's hard when you don't have the ability to do that, it can just feel like you're just like a bit like creatively held back. So like I just knew like I want something else. And that was right when Kevin Casillo had gotten the job at Vans. And previous to this, Vans was like a bit of a locked box. Yeah, hit Kevin like big time, thank you. And like you know, there was like Daryl was on Andreas and Zach and these people, but it wasn't really the program it is now as far as like how sort of like developed it is. And so I like always wanted to ride for Vans, but it just seemed like this unattainable thing. Like, how do you even get in there? These guys who are in there are all so good and so unique, and they kind of like, I don't know, it just seemed like this really untouchable thing. And so like Kevin starting to work there, and me being at this point really close with Daryl, like we had filmed now for a couple of years together, whether it was like Fiji and just other stuff, and like I always respected him, and I think, you know, he started to develop some respect for me as a friend and just like as a snowboarder, and he worked really hard to get me in there. And it was not like an overnight thing. Like I think the whole process, like beginning of the conversations between Daryl and Vans, and then me starting to have the conversations with Vans, and just the whole thing was like 8 months over like a year, you know, kind of like end of spring all the way up until winter of the following year.
I have a couple Patreon questions that go with this. This is a cool time. First of all, thank you, Patreon members. We cannot do this without you. The support is incredible. This first one is, you were talking about Daryl. This is from Lance Hacker.
Oh, nice.
Ask him about how Daryl was a little suspect on him after he was the guide for Daryl LeBlanc and Justin Benny.
Oh, that's funny. I mean, no, the first trip that I ever did, kind of with like pros, I guess. I can't remember. I was like 18, maybe. I think I just started getting K2 boards, and these guys all flew to Calgary for the first VG. It was like Daryl, Mikey, Justin, Mikey LeBlanc, Justin Benny. My friend Jan Snarsky was filming the first video at the time, and I was living with him in Whistler. So there was this weird connection where like I knew him really well. He filmed them. They didn't know I existed, but I worshiped these guys. And so basically Jan was driving out to Calgary. He's like, yo, we're going to do this quick trip, catch a storm. These guys are all going to be there. Like, and like, this is amazing that he did this. But he was like, dude, they really want you to be there, like so bad. Like they've seen your shit. And at this point I'm like, how the fuck would these guys have seen me snowboard? But also like, because that was like a sandbox video, I'm like, there's no way these dudes are watching this shit. I had like a half part or something. And then I'm like, well, whatever. He says they're down. Like, let's fucking do it. And I like get in the truck, drive to Calgary, get there, and I'm just like so quiet, like so just like, this is insane. Like Mikey's wearing like the sickest Holden shit. Like I'm like, I don't even understand. Like I worship all of this and I just need to be cool. And so I was just like, yeah, doing my thing, pretty mellow, didn't snowboard much. But we probably hit about 4 spots, and I think I rode 2 of them, one with Daryl, and I think, honestly, like, so dumb at the time, I basically, like, sort of, like, one-upped him on this thing. It was, like, this, like, little kicker into this landing. He did this, like, 180 Indy, like, so steez.
Oh, the wooden jump
Yeah,
ramp?
the wooden jump, yeah. And then I did, like, a front 3 stale, which is, like, probably not even sicker, but, like, I think Daryl was just like, what the fuck, dude? Like, this guy hasn't said a word. He, like... And they're always asking me like where shit is, and I'm like, I don't really know. You know? Like I'm not even from there. Like I'm like I don't know where this stuff is. And they're like giving me these like weird looks, and then like I'm trying to like just like show up Daryl over here or some shit. You know, it's like so stupid. But and I was like starting to sense kind of like a weird vibe from everyone. They were all still like nice, but I was just like, this is weird. And Bob Plum was shooting photos actually. And at some point, we like day 2 or 3, we like pull up to, I'm in Jan's truck, and we pull up next to Daryl and all them, and they like roll down the window, and they're like, yo, Jake. And I'm like, oh my God, they're talking to me. And he's like, where's this thing at? And I'm like, I don't know where that is. And then Daryl, I remember specifically being like, how the fuck do you not know where that is? Like, you live here. And I was like, I don't live here. And he was like, what? And then they just like rolled up the window and drove away. And like Jan turns to me. It's just me, him, and the truck. He's like, okay, so they'd never actually really seen you snowboard. I just lied and told them that you were like from here and knew all the spots. And like basically it was the only way I was going to like get you here is if I like tricked them. And I was like, oh my God, dude, like what? This is the worst way I would like ever hope to meet these people. Like, are
They
you
thought you were
fucking
trying to trick them and sneak in.
fully. And I'm like over here, like trying to just like
One up 'em.
Yeah. And then dude, it was
You
so
obviously did
crazy.
something right, though.
I mean, it was funny because I remember like even the trip ended and everyone was like cool, but I was like, fuck, I don't know how that went. And then my video part came out, and then I think I saw Daryl at like COC that summer, and he was like, "What up, dog?" Like he's like, "So good to see you." And I remember even being like, "Damn, he's really cool now." Like. And then, and it was probably just because he saw my footage and talked to some friends.
You know,
and was
a
like,
strange-
oh, maybe he's actually mellow or something. I don't know.
A strange bond forms on the road.
Oh yeah,
Even if it's that situation.
Yeah,
When
totally.
you see someone again, you're just like,
Sometimes you gotta like get out of those things too. Like the stress of a trip can be pretty overwhelming. You get out of it and then you're like, that was really fun. Even though like the whole time you're acting like a complete freak show. Like
If somebody hasn't got a clip in 4 days, they're basically like not
ready to-
themselves.
yeah,
they're
they're
basically
ready
ready
to
to burst at the
totally,
seams.
totally.
Another.
I have a question from Jackson. Who are your favorite Vans riders to session a street spot with?
I mean,
Jackson, good question.
yeah, thank you. I already mentioned Dan. So I mean, like Dan for sure, hands down. And honestly, like Dylan for sure. Like Ojo was like, yeah, please, one of those. Dylan was just the best. Me and him got along so well in so many different ways. You know what I mean? Like he really liked filming skating, and yeah, it's like I think back to those, like especially all through Landline, how much time I spent with him and Dan, and like those two dudes for sure. I mean, everybody for sure now, you know, but we've all grown to like be so tight, and like I would go on the trip with any one of them without question for as long as we all wanted to go. Like it's just the best. But yeah, Dill, he was just like so cool. Like we kind of like to snowboard. We had like a similar way of going about it, even though our snowboarding was like really, really different. And we were just like really, really supportive of each other as pals. So it was like really easy to just get into it because like you just have a lot of patience with with one another, and like it was just like really cool. It was just like always like the person that I could be like, okay, like trust this dude to like have my back and like help me out. And like I think the same. Like I was doing my best to do the same for him. So yeah.
So killer.
Perfect. You guys are really like a family, which is cool. The Vans crew.
Yeah, totally. And like, I mean, even more so since losing Dylan, like that only just like connected everybody so much in ways I can't even describe. Like we've been hanging out all week, like a bunch of us, and the conversations we can have and the way we can just kind of be around each other is really unique. You know, I don't like have that with many people in my life, snowboarding or otherwise. I mean, I do, but like it's rare, you know, for anyone that you like can get that. So I'm just so grateful that it's like with them and it's within what I actually do, like as a career and as like my favorite thing with my favorite people. Like it's fucked up, you know, like it's so cool.
Fuck yeah, I think that's what you're looking for in life. That's special stuff.
Right, yeah.
Now, another thing that I think is cool to talk about with you guys, you know, especially for our listeners, because I know about this, but maybe the average snowboarder doesn't understand. They watch a snowboard video, they don't understand how much work goes into finding the spot, like setting up the spot, what you do to find the spot. And I think that's something really interesting, you know, whether it's Google Earth or looking through hashtags, or I don't know if you're trying to not give away industry tricks.
Well, you're saying like how I go about doing that personally, or like us as a group?
Yeah, both. But I just think that's really fascinating because there's, you know, if you guys watch your videos, the thing that separates a lot of good from great videos, I mean, you guys go all over the world, fly to Poland to try to find this fucking needle in a haystack of a spot. And there, as you do that, you get better at finding incredible street spots. And you guys have these really cool methods of locating these spots.
Yeah. I mean, that's different for I mean, we all like kind of have the same, I noticed it when we were filming Line too. We all kind of have the same sensibility as far as like what we're trying to do and how we want it to look. And everyone is like unanimously down to like not pull a bungee or like use a winch because it just sucks to use them, and it creates a whole nother layer and element of this shit that's just like not that fun and more stressful. But I mean, me personally, I don't use Google Maps or anything like that. I just don't have the patience for it. It's real. I've seen people like kill it with it. It's crazy, and I'm grateful when they like hook it up. But like I don't use it. I kind of go in this way where because a lot of the time I'm looking for just like, these days I'm just down to go anywhere that has like hills and snow. I don't even care if I've seen like spots there, like, because now if you have both those things, you can generally do something that's going to be kind of interesting, even if it's like, you know, you can make spots work in that way. So I kind of seem like when we're on the trips, I find I just kind of gravitate towards like terrain, as weird as that sounds. Like you kind of get this weird thing when you like are driving around and you pull up to like an area where you're like, okay, the infrastructure, the way the like slope is kind of like coming here, it's getting steeper. You're like, this is where it's going to be, you know, like, and you know, anyone knows that, like, you know, like even if it's like, or at least that's how I try to feel about it. I'm not so focused in on like looking for like a rail or like whatever it might be. I'm just kind of like, what's going on over here? This is like where snowboarding is going to happen and where it's going to feel really good, because we're going to be like cruising down this hill. There's going to be a lot of snow. I can just take my time, walk up, blah, blah, blah. You know, like it's like that to me is what I sort of like try to find. And I don't even know all the time if that like translates. Like sometimes people might see the spot and be like, yo, that was like nothing. But in my head, I'm like, oh, I don't care a shit. Like that was like everything I wanted it to be, you know, and that was like everything I wanted to get out of today. And like, I see the footage and like, I love it, but it might not be the craziest thing, or it might not be something that like anyone actually cares about. But at some point I don't really care.
I love that. That when you're in it, like the Jibologist radars going Richter scale. It's a spotty zone.
Having a real winter though really creates so much opportunity though, right?
And the footage looks ill. You see somebody like land some shit and they like cruise off and like everything's snowy, and I'm obsessed with that because that's snowboarding to me. Like sometimes I have my own qualms with street snowboarding or whatever, like some problems where I'm like, I see it and I'm like, this just looks like, obviously I love it and it's what I do, but I'm like, this just like is so far removed from what I feel like sort of like what makes snowboarding special and what makes snowboarding fun in certain ways.
And relatable.
Yeah, of course. Like in certain ways, it just like our own progression can sort of like push us away from like what I feel like is like the core of what makes snowboarding special to me. And so I'm like, when I'm filming street stuff, of course I still want to slide rails and shit. It's fun. But I mean like nowadays I'm like, okay, I want someone to see this and just think, yo, that looked fun. I want to do that. Or like a snowboard looked really nice doing that. You know what I mean? Like, because sometimes you see shit and you're like, it just looked so squeezed out and contrived, and it just was like, and they're like, I mean, people love it now. I'm not crazy about it when they like hit the concrete and just like a hood ornament, just like standing there strapped in, and I'm like, dude, like your shit's fucked now, and like it looked kind of weird. Like I don't.
Also, the fact too is one thing is like, a snowboard's extremely expensive. An average person can't just go destroy snowboards all day long on concrete.
I mean, I get a bunch of them, and I'm like, oh my god, like I flip it open, like as soon as I'm like,
a city. Just
I'm like, do they have a bass grinder in this city somewhere? Like, you know, like, I'm like trying to.
When a city's devastated by a snowstorm, and you know everyone's at home that day,
dude,
like, that's the coolest.
I
feeling.
sleep good on those trips. I do. Like I'm like. I sleep good. I wake up. I'm like fired up. I'm a different person.
Yeah.
And when we're in the like rainy bits, like we're so far away from home.
Down.
I'm actually like, okay, snap out of it. Like just be stoked. You know. I mean, obviously I'm stoked. I'm there with everyone I love. But like it's like you just have to switch gears a bit, and like that's fine. I mean, it is sort of like you know, you want to do your best. It's kind of a job, but like you know, like as much as I want to focus on the creative side of it, it's like you do need to like just do it.
Yeah, you take the good with the bad.
Yeah.
But the thing that's cool too, if you look at the trajectory of your career too, and street snowboarding particularly, it was like kind of things like people were hitting rails, then it started getting bigger, closeouts and roof gaps, and bobcats got involved, and all of a sudden like there was this kind of like this things were just getting huge, and you needed like heavy equipment to.
Do you think that was real snow?
Yeah, real snow.
Do you think that was the catalyst?
Yes, exactly.
I would agree.
The early checks of real snow, maybe.
I didn't get any of those checks, dude. Yeah. None for me.
But they
probably were like, "What is he doing?" That's not true. I actually got hit up as like a fill-in once, like a runner-up.
Oh, like a backup?
Yeah, they were like, "This person got hurt, so if you'd like, it's January 27th, and you could do it." And I was like,
4 days.
I was like, "That sounds awful." Like I'm not gonna do that. Like, I mean, it's great that they called me or whatever. It's cool. Maybe one day, but like it was just like. I was like, nah.
That's probably the right call.
Yeah.
Going back to your process, though, I got to ask, are you like a list guy? Do you rock with like a trick list?
I used to do lists. Mostly of just like ideas, because sometimes you just kind of need them down if you want to like remember them. Because like you'll be at a thing and suddenly you're like, oh yeah, this works really well for that like one idea I had or something. But now not so much. Now like I said, I kind of just try to go somewhere and like find the terrain and just like I'm like, all right, when it's gonna like kind of show up, and then like let that dictate what you're gonna do, because planning is sweet, but it can kind of hold you back a bit, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So
Support for the Bomb Hole is brought to you by our friends over at Manscaped, the leaders in male grooming. Now, if you're interested in picking up a Manscaped Lawnmower 4.0, use promo code BOMBHOLE at checkout for 20% off. Now, I know you've been using this Lawnmower 4.0, buds. How's your experience been with this machine?
I got to say, you can, by looking at me, I don't look like I've been using it.
No, you don't look like you
And
have.
I need to maybe shorten this thing up, but in the nether regions, woo, smooth as an egg, my friend.
Wow. So crotch region, just like a hairless cat.
Totally
kind of
opposite
situation.
of my face.
Got it. Okay.
Basically.
And I know that you had basically a lion's mane of pubic hair going for a while. So was it able
It used to look exactly like the beard.
Did it have enough power to get through that?
Oh,
or?
the lawnmower? Come on, 4.0, just mulched that thing right up.
Amazing. Well, they also have their body wash, which I use in my shower, which is also where I keep my Lawnmower 4.0. Anyway, great product. I think you guys would enjoy it.
Crop mop.
Oh, yeah, crop mop.
Huge fan.
You're in a
Individually
pinch.
wrapped.
Individually wrapped or wrapped?
Wrapped and wrapped.
Okay, perfect.
For his pleasure.
Well, head on over to manscaped.com, use promo code BOMBHOLE, and you'll get 20% off. All right, buds, let's talk Licky D. Let's crush some fucking can right now.
Let's do this.
What do you got in your hand there, buds?
I got some straight spring water from the Alps forced into a can, and it is delicious.
It was forced in there, huh?
Forced in there. Well, most people use plastic.
Yeah.
Death to plastic.
You know what's nice? 10% of all the proceeds go to the war on plastic. So you are fighting the good fight and also getting hydrated, chugging some liquid.
Chugging. I'm already 3 deep in the interview. Mm-hmm. No lie. No cap.
Yeah, and it's awesome because people think you're an alcoholic when they see you drinking this. They're like, wow, he's drinking a beer at 8:30 in the morning.
Let them think what they want. I'm hydrated.
Exactly. That being said, head on over to liquiddeath.com/bombhole. Helps us out, and you'll get a couple free bonus koozies for purchasing the beverages you're going to buy anyway, right?
Some koozies or some Kuzyks?
You're also going to get some Jake Kuzyks as well. So
really? We got some of those over there.
Here we go.
Welcome to the Liquid Death.
Death. Spinning wheel of death.
Oh shit! I didn't know we were doing this right now. I'm down.
Oh, we spin them.
So I don't get to see.
No.
Okay.
The camera can see.
But I spin.
You spin.
Give it a good one, too.
Spin.
Okay. Which way? This way.
Anyway, good spin. Where's she going to land? Nobody knows.
Oh god.
We're going jib trivia.
This seems like maybe a safe one, but I don't really know. What are the other options on there?
Well,
They're like all jib.
Oh, wow, that's weird. Gotcha.
We rigged it. You kind of like tried to like hide it from me. You
we
put it
rigged
back.
it.
You're like,
Don't look at it.
Don't look.
So, yeah, you landed on Jib Trivia.
Oddly enough.
Oddly enough, yeah, I didn't think it was going to happen.
Honestly, I feel like you guys might have like higher expectations for me in this than I can fulfill. But let's see.
Everybody
We'll
calls
see.
you the Jibologist.
Yeah.
This could be big for you. So I just want
Could go bad, too.
There's a lot of pressure on you. This could be huge for you.
I mean, dude, you know what? Whatever. Let's give it a go.
Okay, first question. What is the definition of natty zoich?
That just
I
means
can
like
answer this one.
Yeah.
You go.
Well, this is for
for
Jake.
you.
This is all Jake.
I'm glad.
But you can, back me up. Is it one of
If
these
you get
things where
one
like if
wrong.
I don't get it
Yeah, if
right,
you don't
then you have
get
a
it-
chance to get a point? And
Yes.
then like
I have a feeling you're going to
yeah,
go, though.
yeah, okay. That is anything that just has like run up like a hill, like natural speed.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Question number 2. There's 11 questions, by the way.
Wow.
What is the giant rubber band used to generate speed?
These are good. That's Banshee Bungee.
Don't get too cocky.
Manchi.
They get harder.
Yeah. As he go, right?
Okay. Who was the first person to do a back 270 to fakie in the streets?
Louis Paradis.
Oh, he's pretty good.
3 correct.
Wait, could I name the video?
Yes, you can.
bonus points.
Oh, I'm like I'm like burying myself here because Oh, it's in These Days.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Who had last part in Videograss Shoot the Moon Part 2? What was the last trick?
I love Jonas's footage in this video. This is fucked up.
You know this.
Is it Jordan? No. Dude, what the fuck? I actually don't know it.
This is bad.
I know. Wait. gonna try and pull myself out of this room for a minute.
This is actually really bad, Jake. You need to know this.
Oh, it's Jed.
Yes.
Yeah, of course. Sorry, and it's to the Mazzy Star song.
Yep.
Yeah. What the fuck? What was the second question?
Last trick.
You knew it the whole time.
Oh, the last trick. Is it Gap Back Too Fakey on the thing at?
It's in Stockholm. I'll say that.
Oh, switchback lip through the whatever kink.
That's correct. We're gonna give you that.
Sorry that took me a second. You know what?
syndrome.
It's the room, dude. It's like getting those. It's all kind of like
It's
coming
it's
in
like
on me.
an
The walls
it's
are
an
caving in.
We like to treat this like an enemy kind of interrogation.
Yeah, it kind of feels like you against me.
Hot lights on you.
Next question: who ollied the infamous double set at Big
Mikey
Bear Middle
LeBlanc.
School? Okay, question part 2 of this.
I was there.
Who is the rail named after?
Wow.
It's called the blank kink.
Oh, is it Jeff Anderson?
Yes.
Okay.
The Jeffy kink is what they call it, right?
Yeah.
Which rider cab 270'd the Harding kink in Minnesota?
No. Oh, Zach Marbin.
That's correct.
But then also
Wow.
maybe so did Frony. Did Frony? Someone else did
Keegan.
it to forward. Maybe in Forrest.
oh, you're right. Okay.
Or somebody else did it to forward and Zach did to fakey.
This guy truly is a jibologist.
exactly.
But these are deep. I haven't watched this shit in a long time, so
You're
like
nailing it.
I'm gonna pat myself in the back.
Well,
a
we're
wee bit.
trying to see if you live up to your
Gotta get to
Jibologist
11.
name.
Okay.
Which rider did a back 3 nose press on South Ledge in Anchorage?
What? Oh, Ethan Dice?
That's correct.
Dude, Austin Smith used to make fun of me so much for this shit. Because I
knowing this kind of stuff?
Yeah. And it would just like spew out of me everywhere we went. It was so funny.
Okay, next question. This is I'm proud of this question because I think you might not get it. Which rider did a gap to switch 50 on the Rail Gardens gap rail?
Why this? I'm not even from Utah or
We
anything.
might have stumped. Well, we had to give you a couple of ones.
Gap to switch 50.
I just thought it was the sickest Rail Gardens trick on the gap rail. Just gap switch 50. He may or may not work for Volcom currently.
Seth did that?
Yeah, Seth Hewitt.
Damn, I'm sorry, Seth. What video was it in? Just tell me because I don't.
I think it was in one of the like people like a Cheers or one of those like people.
Oh, my
Hybrids.
bad. I'm rocking with Seth. I don't know why I didn't know that one.
Here's one that's maybe pre-Kuzyk era, but who had the cover of Brainstorm?
Wasn't it Mikey?
Not.
Oh, no. It was Scotty on the double slide on the wood rail or what
Yes.
single board slide on the big ass wood rail?
Freddy Krueger shirt.
Yes.
Krueger.
Oh, man. I still have never. I'm yet to own one of those. Like just a nice stripy long sleeve. I
gotta
need to
get you
get
the
after
Freddy
it.
Kruegs.
Yeah.
Get on a big old wooden rail, down rail.
Yeah.
Okay, who did the infamous half backflip to upside down dark slide?
Oh, shit. Brett Meyer. Yeah. Seen it so many times. It's actually fucking crazy.
It's crazy.
Love it.
Great clip.
But also, I might be able to do it. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean?
Can we get this going?
I'm like, I can like gainer flip off like big ass diving boards and shit, and I'm like, maybe that's the same thing. Like, not getting out of it, obviously. Does the rail just like roll? I don't even remember now. Does it kind of like roll? Is it built in a way?
No, it's flat. It's flat.
Dude, he
It might
gets
be
off
built in a
so
somewhat
funny.
special way,
He
though.
lands in like a crazy tail manny, and his board looks like so big and stiff, and he's just like, dude, it's so
I would
good.
love a Jake Kuzyk part, like all these beautiful street spots, like tasteful tricks,
then that
and
Darky.
a dark slide.
Darky.
What rider hit a rail off a big cliff in an old
Kevin
Mack Dog
Jones.
Ride movie? Also, 2-part. There was somebody else that hit it with him.
Wasn't it a female?
Yes.
Fuck. Was it Tara?
Yes, that's correct.
Yo, this is trippy that I
Jibologist.
knew
Guess what
it.
you just got? Look what we got for him.
The master
He got a
degree in
master
Jibology.
degree in
Good-
Jibology.
It's a good thing you didn't reference my name from your contacts in your iPhone because you actually spelt it correctly.
That would have been a classic.
So Jake is
Holy shit, this is gonna go up at the crib.
in my phone. He's got his
This will
name
go
is,
I have, like the only thing I have out that's like kind of snowboardy is like my like Transworld Men's Video Part Award. So it'll be like these two things.
right next to it.
people are like, oh, where did you go to Stevens Henniger College to get your degree? Where'd you get
I went
that?
to the Bombholz Jibologist degree.
Yeah, I just took an online course. It was mellow.
Have you thought about hosting any Jibology like classes, like maybe a stand up in front of
No.
some students?
Maybe a master class in
a master
Jibology.
class?
Oh, dude, would they do that with me? You think?
We should hit them up.
That
Maybe
would
they'll
be crazy.
see this.
I would do it for like some money. You know, why not?
It would have to be really dope for you to sign your name on it.
For sure. I wonder, people probably make bank off that, huh?
I bet they do.
I'm down. Masterclass me.
We'll get that going.
I mean, I have this now, so I don't even, I could just like send this scanned in on the email and
You
be
got
like,
the degree.
you're welcome.
I would definitely put that any job resume in the future. Definitely put a master's degree in Jibology.
Will it be seen if it goes? It's probably
You
just
got to
like
put it
blocked.
behind you. Put it
Yeah, on the shelf.
Throw it on the shelf somewhere.
Okay.
Yeah.
I hope not to knock over the blade from Bozung here.
Yeah.
Bozung's blade.
Yeah.
All right. So let's dive right back into landline because not landline, but just filming in general. Sorry.
I'm still laughing that I actually fucking did that. Okay.
Not only did you do it, but you crushed it.
You just crushed it.
Yeah, okay.
You lived up to your name as the Jibologist.
Hell yeah.
But Tanner was likening maybe kind of a kind of a corny reference, but we're gonna say
Let's go. We'll try.
TP. Shout out to TP. Let's go.
Yes, please. Absolute, like, I could take like the next 2 hours to talk about how much I love Tanner. So
He's a fucking king.
give him a big one.
Should we give him the super? air
Yes,
horn?
super.
Let's go super.
Please.
Okay, that is obnoxious.
He
Okay.
deserves like
he
that
deserves
10
it.
times over though.
Yeah, let's just blow people's eardrums out. So he was kind of saying that you liken your snowboarding. He had an analogy.
Okay.
He said it's like Picasso.
Shut the
Okay, let me finish. Let me finish. But just because he can do some realistic, perfect portrait of somebody, doesn't mean that's going to be his shit. Like it's like the abstract, the in the approach in that way, right? Like looking at things differently, not and he was saying just a bunch of things like that. Like your approach to landline was like everything should be natural speed, not so rule oriented, but you kind of had some guidelines, like everything should be kind of natural speed, spots should look a certain way. Maybe the snow, there's not like a reverse cheese wedge in the landing of a spot,
Right,
you know?
yeah.
And it's like he likened it to art, and I thought that was a cool comparison. What do you think on that?
I mean, that's very flattering, kind of intense as shit. I don't know. But I guess at some point, I always kind of looked at it where it was like, it's not so much about like the things that I mean, of course it's about what you do, but also in a big way, it's so much about what you don't do, you know? Like, you have to, like, you can't just say yes to everything and you can't just chase after everything. Otherwise, you'll have like no real sort of direction with like what you're putting out there. And so like, I kind of always tried to know when to sort of just like be like, no, not that. Like, I'm not going to do that, or I don't want to do that, or like whether that was filming or whatever. And then it just kind of made me more confident with the things I did choose to like put my energy into, you know what I mean? And so I think, I mean, that being said, I've given so many bad interviews and weird outfits and old video parts and songs I wish I could change, but you know what I'm saying? Like, it's sort of at some point you can't just be saying yes to all of it. You have to sort of like come up with a bit of something that you think like will represent your snowboarding well, and also that you get excited about, and that's what keeps you like sort of like driven and keeps you like on a bit of a path where you're like, I have like a direction that I'm like sort of seeking, and like that's what is gonna like guide me versus like, yeah, I don't know.
Oh, what you just
and
said.
I also just couldn't. I actually am like, I can't just do. I see people who just like throw shit at the wall all day. I can't do that. Like, I can't do that. I've kind of tried it, and I'm like, it doesn't work for me, you know? Whether that's like, there's some really skilled snowboarders out there, and their skill far outweighs, you know, their approach. And I don't know if I'm one of those people. So I'm kind of always just been like, okay, I have to lean in on this where I like, just sort of like guide what I do on like the sensibilities, you know, that I hope to have. And like put that out there.
It's like finding yourself as you've had this long career, you know, you discover what's right for you, what you want your brand to be.
But even like as a little kid, I sort of always latched on to other pros that like did that. Like, you know, like I was like, I don't know much about them. Or like they just clearly have like influence that stems beyond snowboarding, you know? And I've always loved that. And then you can see it in what they do, because like they take that little bit extra care and they like work through it in a way where it's not everything, you don't get to see everything, because then what's it worth at some point? You know what I mean? Like, you have to sort of like not trim things down, but like be a bit critical. If you're not critical, then like what are you even doing? I feel like at some point, you know, that's how things like spiral out of control a little bit into like some place we don't want to be. So I feel like snowboarding has been doing that really, really well lately.
And then let's lean into the skateboarding stuff, because it's fucking fascinating how you're filming for legitimate skateboard brands, for Spitfire, for whoever, and you're filming some of the best skateboarders in the world. And I always see your names in the credits of all these like awesome videos, but you're kind of like low key about it. It's fucking sick.
I mean, I want to be seen as a snowboarder first and foremost. So maybe that would have to that would say something about what you being low key or whatever. But that, I'm just totally freakishly obsessed with filming, especially skateboarding. I love the process of everything we do in the winter, and like, why not just continue to do that in the summer? So like, I just like worship it. It gives me so much like joy. So like, it's I think, and it's, again, it's something I've always done. And so it's just like, it's like anything else. It's like you want to progress at it or develop it, you know? And like, I'm like super grateful for the fact that snowboarding as a professional has given me tons of free time in the summer. And like, I could have gone a lot of ways with it. You know, I could have started like buying properties and developing rental units and like, you know, investing and fucking whatever. And like, but I was just always more interested in this. And so like, I just put all my energy there, and I you know, it's fun to do. I still like, I'm completely obsessed with it. And I was really lucky. Like, early on, a lot of my friends who I met in Vancouver when I moved there, I was 20. And a lot of the guys I met and girls, they're just like such good skaters. And they were at a point where like they were all either just getting on vans as well in Canada to skate or something along those lines. And so like, we kind of were like, oh, let's skate, let's film. And like, you know, oh, we both know these people who work at the brand or the shop or like whatever. And it's just kind of like, together, we always sort of did this thing. And now it's been like 10 years, and I guess it seems weird, but at the same time, it's just like we're pals, and we all love it, and it just like makes so much sense. Like, my friend Dustin, like, I film him all the time, and like, it's trippy to me now because I'm like, damn, he's like doing it, you know, and he's like amazing, and like, he's always been, but it's just like fun to have like been a part of that, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you mean instead of buying a house, you invested all your money in equipment?
No, just my time.
Time.
Okay. Yeah, my time. Like, you know, like some people, like, you see these pros and they get in snowboarding and they just become like these little entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
And that's cool. But I mean, like, I was like more interested in just like, I guess just doing what we were already doing some more.
Yeah.
You know, like, it was like, whatever. And I wouldn't like change that at all. Like, it continues to be fun. I did a bit less filming this year. And like, just I've just had a bad back a bit. And like, I've done some less filming, and it's painful, man. I love it. I miss it so much. And I did get to like get some of that going. Like, we filmed for that Manscaped video that just came out and stuff, and then a couple other smaller things that are still kind of going right now. But yeah, it's weird. It's cool. I'm like really grateful to be doing it.
There's a thing with filmers and backs. Got to be careful.
Yeah, I wish somebody told me that when I was like fucking 18.
It's all catching
Especially
up with
once I
everybody.
switched to that HD camera, like the HPX and the Big Sentry.
The
like,
weight.
Yeah.
Well, we should talk about your back, but before we get into that, we should also talk about a guest question from none other than Tanner Pendleton. If you're unfamiliar with Tanner,
we got another one from.
He
did he not give a guest?
He hasn't asked yet.
Oh, my
bad.
bad.
All good, but he made Landline, so made a lot of the greatest snowboard films of our time.
Yeah.
And
my favorites.
He's the man. Here we go.
Hey, what's up, Jake, Chris, and Stony Buds? Jake, I got a question for you. So, few people know this, but you have had an incredibly huge impact on all of the Vans snowboarding edits. You're pretty much my most trusted contact. You're the person that I always send the edits to when I'm stuck and not sure what to do. And you have this like amazing ability to watch it once and know exactly what needs to change, even down to the most minute details. So I guess my question is, where do you think this comes from? And perhaps, how does it work its way into your own work making skateboard films, for better or for worse? Anyways, love you all. Thanks, and excited to hear the episode. Bye.
Bye. That one just comes from being an absolute freak, I think, really. Like, I don't know. Because it is funny. He'll send me stuff and I'll be like, you need to maybe think about changing this. And it's like, I'm like, I can't even believe I sent him that email. But I don't know, man. It's something that, like, it's always easier to judge other people's work too. I found, like, if like Tanner sends me something, I know where he's at. I just know him so well. I know what he's up to. I know what he's doing. I was probably there on a lot of this stuff. So I can just kind of be like, oh, I kind of know what direction you'd like to go in with this, and I see it. Maybe if this was different, like that might just like further project it that way and like double down on like the story or the arc or like whatever. So I think that we can trust each other really well in that. It's weird. I'm like so honored that he thinks it's cool to send me that stuff, and I do like love it when the email comes in. It's like my like highlight. I like sit down, open it up, like take like 30 minutes or however long the video is what we're making, and it's been years now of this, and like I just like take it in. Also kind of ruins it though, because I see all the videos before they come out, and it's like I'm down, but then I'm like, oh man, I like would have been so hyped to see this if it was just like fresh out the gate. So yeah. I don't know. Is there more there? Do you want to hear about?
And then I guess, pulling inspo for skating. I guess the ability to do the same thing in skateboarding. You kind of asked about this part 2 of that.
Oh, like with stuff I might make personally?
Yeah, like stuff you make. Like where do you get? I think that's what he was kind of.
I mean, the stuff I make, I feel like is really quite simple compared to what a lot of people make. I'm like just really into like watching the movement and the tricks, so I kind of try to just film. I love putting B-roll in there, and there's like certain type of stuff I like go for, but I just really like simple videos because I think skating just looks really great on its own, and sometimes you can distract it quite a bit if you try to put in like too much, I don't know, weird vignettes or like kind of artwork in and around it. Like I like, there's some people who do that so well, but I'm like kind of a bit more like traditional. So I think it's a little simple. Like I'll finish something, and a lot of time, and not until I get it like a little export and like see it like locked, can I actually assess it. Like I can't even do it in the timeline. Like I almost need to like lock it and like open it up somewhere else, even though it's on my phone, and view it as like a piece versus like a puzzle or something. And then I can be like, oh, and then I just do little adjustments. Like it's pretty clear when it's like that. Mm-hmm. If you don't get too in your head about it and don't watch it too many times, you know?
That's smart. I love the perspective shift on that by switching formats or whatever, but also
I also might just be because I work off I've only ever used the MacBook Pro with like no other screen. I hardly use a mouse. Mm-hmm. For some reason, ever since I got Premiere, like everything plays like so shitty. I can't figure out how to do it. Dude, I like had like Hayden come out wrench, and I'd be like, can you please make this work? And he's like, weird, like your butt. I'm just like, dude. So I can't even like really watch stuff when I'm editing it. It just like plays all skippy, and then I like export them. Oh. That's what it looks, and I'm like, that's what it looks like.
Once you get that extra monitor, though, it's so hard to work.
I know, dude. I'm so
never go back.
Dude, I'm so funny with shit like this. I just think about it for like 4 years, and then I do it, and I'm like, I could have done that in 2 days, but instead it took me like years to make that change. You know, it's so silly.
Well, another thing about the filming Tanner brought up, I thought was fascinating. He was saying, basically, he's like, Jake's very intentional in the way that he films things. Like, he essentially one time wanted to film everything really smooth so it looked like a robot or something. He said, does that...
Jesus, I don't know.
No, well, you know,
I hope I didn't say that. That's like, embarrassing.
Like, so some people want the aggressive, like, pan and shake, you know? Like, some people were, like, the crazy pans or the crazy...
you know what? I'm just joking. Yeah. I definitely used to be super into that. Like, I used to be really into that because I thought it made your videos... Like, I was like, it elevates it to this... Like, if I put out this video that's, like... independent, but it's like really well cut and really well filmed, it'll be taken like super seriously, I guess was where my head's at. But now I've sort of strayed away from that because I actually quite like skateboarding when it's documented a bit just more true to the moment. And like and like and like sometimes the frame doing its thing can really add to that. I still don't really like super shaky, super close up filming. It bugs the crap out of me, but like I there is something to like just sort of letting it go a bit, and like you focus in on the skating more at that point. Sometimes in my old videos I watch them and I'm like, dude, this is like distracting almost because I'm like so like intense with like how I want everything to connect. I'm like, you got to just like let it like breathe out a bit. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's good. I love how deeply you fucking like analyze each, you know, the introspective, you know, the thought that goes into everything. And
it's my curse.
That's what I got to ask. So you're a perfectionist, not self-proclaimed, but like I would say that most people that watch you do a trick 10 times. You're gonna front board 270 the rail and film it. You're gonna do it 10 times. That's probably a degree of perfectionism there. Now, do you feel like it's a curse, like being a perfectionist?
Times. I mean, if you're not like taking it with a grain of salt, you know, as you're moving through it, like it's cool to function like that if you're kind of like flowing like that. But if you're jammed up and like you're all focused on like some niche detail, it can really slow you down. So I'm just like, I've been learning that balance my whole life, and I'm like barely there still, you know, like not unlike what I said about the filming, even in my own writing and just how I like interact. I'm like, yo, okay, just like let it go a bit, you know, like that's fine. But also, you know, you can't always just expect to change overnight, or like these things to be different. And also, you have to just like accept them and be excited about it and realize that like that's, you know, you're saying such nice things about it. So like, and I appreciate that. So I'm like, okay, word, like this is dope. I'm not going to sit here and try to be like beating myself up because like it wasn't what it could have been based on what I've seen this person and I respected and that, you know, like
I wonder about the self-talk though, because it's like, that's where I wondered, because it's like,
that's
like, when you think about a perfectionist, it's like you're hard on yourself probably because it's like the trick's not what it should be or could be. Whereas maybe like take somebody like myself, like if my face, I'm like, can we use that? Like, is that my face, like, I know both.
You're like, that's gonna put 4 seconds on the timeline. This part is gonna go from 120 to 125. Like,
I know my fucking head hit the ground and I basically like looped out, but like it had double hand drag. But tell me, can we use it? You know,
being a filmer and a photographer too.
I'm
if
the
you
opposite.
mess up, you think about that for months too, right? So it haunts you.
Yeah, I'm the opposite of that. I'll be like, everything I land, I'm like, it's probably not going in. Like, just like, you know, and then like later you like come down off it a bit and you're like, oh, it's actually kind of dope. Like, you know, like it's like, so you're like, I'm cool with it. But yeah, it's there. I mean, everyone has that, you know, so to try and pretend like you don't is silly. But like, yeah, that's something I'm like learning too, more lately than ever, but like, it's just an ongoing thing. Like you can only do so much, you know? And it's like you have to listen to how you're responding and feeling in certain environments, especially things like snowboarding, but like also letting go of such control and things like that is like really important. You'll get something totally different out of that you wouldn't always expect. So like that's kind of where I'm at now. And I'm learning to balance that, you know? Like I've definitely seen moments creatively where I'm like, okay, I'm just going to let this be, and I'm not going to try and like get in there and dig and like make up what I think the direction it should go. And then sometimes I'll like lose an opportunity where I'm like, oh, I kind of just let that like cruise by, even though I knew what it needed to be done or felt like I had a good idea that could have like shifted this to being that much better. I sort of like was like, oh no, like lay off, let it be. And then the thing comes out and I'm like, it would have just been better if I got in there and did that, you know? So there is, for me, that's like sometimes I'm like finding that line and like just like respecting myself there and being like, you know, trying to be less hard and but also knowing like, okay, if you're feeling this and it's, you know, you care this much about it, like be about it. You know, don't just like steer away from that because you think you should or something.
Yeah. I like it. I think it's we've been cruising along. We almost skipped over a great segment of the show.
It's funny, we're so into it now, I don't remember what's coming next.
Yeah.
Like
it's the good one.
We're going to hit a little name that video part.
Oh, shit. If I can do half as good as I did before, I'll be excited.
Name That Video Part is brought to you by our friends over at Mammoth Mountain. As you know, I've been riding Mammoth for a long time. Their parks are incredible. It's midwinter, early season, late season. I like them in the spring the best. Slushy, park laps, chair 6. You're chuck and roast. The park crew over there does the best job out of any park crew in the country. I'm sorry if you're a member of the park crew and you disagree, but they really do kill it over there. And what else, bud?
I've been riding Mammoth since the early 1600s.
Yes, you have. Yeah, before electricity, horse and buggy.
We used to have to walk up that mountain until they installed the lifts. Come the early 1800s.
Yep.
But what I like about it is peak season Unbound operates 8 different parks, 3 different half pipes, so something for all skill levels.
Absolutely. If you're learning to jump a tabletop for the first time, rip some groomers, or if you want to go back 10 and land directly on your back halfway down the landing, it's perfect for all ability
for everybody.
levels. Exactly. So one thing that's cool, we're giving away 4 lift tickets to Mammoth with this Name That Video part. So if you know what it is, comment on Instagram. And again, thanks for supporting the show, Mammoth. They support us. You should support them. So, Jake, we always ask our guests, what is your confidence level, 0 through 10?
If we were doing this 5 years ago, 10, like straight up. Now, if I'm like playing it a bit reserved, maybe 7. But that's also like, I don't know, I might just come out with something here. Let's see.
I think I went a little easy on you.
Oh, really?
How you did on the Jibology review here for your degree.
Okay.
So, okay, here we go.
Oh, yeah. Dude.
Sorry.
Well, sort of. That's Jed in the Transworld video, and it's Get Real.
Yes.
Yeah. But it's his second song?
Yes, it is.
Was there 3?
Shit.
Triple song.
I'm not sure. Maybe at least 2.
It's the last part,
It
though.
is. Yep. You know, I was also watching some of those clips. Like, he would throw up in his mouth if you watch some of those today. Like, not that they're timeless, but like,
no, he
but
wouldn't.
like, dude, hitting like 50 front threes and shit. Like, you ain't seeing him pull a 50
Yo, but
front
he's just
three.
like Jed has some special thing where like it doesn't matter.
No, it's still timeless. It's still incredible.
He looked good then doing it, made me want to do it, and then like now I'm like damn, I would hope to never do that again. But at the same time, then he just like does something where you're just like always into it.
Yeah, he's got
for
it.
me, you know, like
He makes things look insane.
Yeah, and it's cool. He like he cares, but he also like puts himself out there. You know, like he does things that I'm like I don't even know. I think he's just like fuck it, let's do this. You know, it's rad.
Absolutely. He's timeless. Now, for part 2, this is for our listeners. You don't guess this one, Jake. So
okay,
when this comes out, Jake's basically Instagram photo on our page at the Bombhole. There's like a thumbnail photo. If you know what video part this is, you get a chance to win a few tickets from our friends over at Mammoth and a bunch of Bombhole swag. So here we go.
Dipset, bitch. You know what that means? You're amongst the diplomatic community. It's my man Hell Rap.
It's a great video part.
Dipset.
dude, it's crazy. I don't know that one. Maybe we should have swapped them.
Your Canadian counterparts would be unhappy with that. Okay.
Dude.
Thank you guys for playing. I think. All right, it's time to talk about pub beer. Stony Buds is throwing one back right now. How is that thing?
So good, my dog.
Wow, love that. Now, if you're thinking about going out and having 1 or 2 beers with the boys, or if you're thinking about drinking 18 to 25 beers, blacking out, urinating yourself, and passing out in your neighbor's bush.
It's midweek. I might wait till Friday, but why not?
If you're going to do that, I would choose pub beer.
Let's go.
And your microphone just shot back at you. So, yeah, pub beer supports the show. You should support them. They're just a cheap, fun beer.
Yeah, you know what they say, cheap, fun beer. Let's do this.
Absolutely. Now, we're going to get into the crapshoot. Here we go.
It's delicious.
Welcome to the Pub Beer Crapshoot.
All right, so...
Wait, remind me. I don't remember what this one is.
You just roll the dice, and we'll tell you whatever it lands on. There's basically you're gonna have to answer a question or do something.
Oh, okay.
So those are Goon Gear dice. Give them a little.
The logo is a 6.
9. This is a good question. It hasn't came up yet. I don't think. Name
it's the same questions for everybody.
Yeah, it's just, this is a universal list. The people, our friends over at Pub Beer made. They curated it.
Oh, nice.
So the question is, name one thing still on your career bucket list. Hard hitting. That's a hard hitting one.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I haven't done that has kind of been on my mind for like 5 years is just spend an entire like I snowboard in Vancouver at Mount Seymour lots. And it's like the best mountain I've ever been at. People ask me all the time, like, oh, where do you love to snowboard so much? Like, what's your favorite place? And I'm actually like, oh, Mount Seymour in Vancouver. And they're like, A, I don't know where that is, and B, what? Like, it's so little and all this. But it really is like, until you go there, and even if you do go there, you kind of have to go there with someone, you won't really understand how amazing it is. Especially the type of snowboarding I really like to do on mountain. It's like the best. So I kind of have always wanted to make a video there where it was like almost the whole winter with a bunch of close friends, because it's so like that resort is so accessible in the city. It's only 30-minute drive. Like, it's closer than even something like Brighton here in Utah. So I'm like, oh, I want to make a video where it's like pros and our friends who aren't pro and locals and like everybody.
Matt Heenahan gonna be in there?
Yeah, Matt would definitely be in there, dude. Matt's the GOAT. I'm like, yeah.
He's a Seymour. He's a Seymour.
Yeah, you guys are
juggernaut.
boys. I know
I
this.
call him a juggernaut of the.
What do you guys
Seymour.
call yourself? Man of the Steel or something? No,
Yeah.
What is it?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah,
He's got
loyal to the
I
steel.
think so. He's got like a phrase he loves to throw. But yeah, Matt's the best. But yeah, I just thought it would be cool to make that video.
That
and
mountain's
like
picturesque too, right?
Dude, yeah, and it's just like the terrain is so weird. There's all these like weird sort of like mini steep peaks within the mountain that go down like almost like these weird just like towers of like terrain, and it builds these cool embankments on either end of the run, and then like you can almost snowboard like in 360 there. It's so weird. Like, it's like an amped level or something, and it's like, it's rad. And when the snow's good, even if it's not good, it's like the best. I love it so much. So I like really hope to one day do something there soon if I can. It's you gotta get, it's like a bit of a funny sell. Like, I'm like, you want to just like come film me on a mountain for like 3 months, you know, like this like small place that like no one really goes to that often. But I think I have like an idea with it that I think would be really cool.
That's one
Sounds
thing.
cool.
People don't know that about you though. When you came to Utah, was that 2 years ago? You were riding Brighton all the time, and you know, you're known for your street video parts, but you fucking love riding the resort. Like, it seems like
I just really like catching air off, like, especially like I love snowboarding on like steep like short transition. Like, that feeling of going really high off something really little gives me so much more excitement than like hitting a giant jump where you just like fly and then go like beep. Like, I'm like, I get nothing out of that. But if you like really like snap and use your tail and like, I don't know, you grab feels so good because you like have this weird like weightless feeling. The board comes up really easily. It's, I don't know, it's like corny, but it's like, I love it. Like, and there's so much of it there. Like, so much of it. Bachelor's kind of the same way. I've had tons of fun like that at Bachelor. That sort of vibe is really cool. And I like small mountains because you can focus way better. You know what I mean? Like, you don't get all distracted by like vast terrain and think that you need to go to like the biggest, tallest, steepest thing. You're just kind of like, oh, like that, you could jump from there to there and that would look pretty cool. And then you just do it. And then like, I don't know. I mean, obviously there's like people are gravitating towards this type of snowboarding more than like Arthur is like literally like does it better than anybody else. But I don't know. There's still some aspect of it that I feel like is a bit untouched that I would be interested in trying to do with friends. So
I'd love to see that.
Me too.
That'd be awesome. And Arthur Longo is who you're referring
yes,
to.
Arthur Longo.
For the people unfamiliar.
I mean,
They're
he's
awesome.
literally the best snowboarder probably currently. So you better
Doing
know
some
about
stuff
him.
right now.
Side hit euphoria is what he's referring to. It's fucking awesome. All right. Well, I think it's a good time to change gears. And one thing that is fucking awesome, was it 2 years ago now, with Torment and all that stuff, you came out, and I was super proud as a friend.
Thanks, Chris.
Also, like, surprised, but in a good way. You know, like,
You were surprised?
like, I didn't know. I was fully like, yeah, like, it didn't go through my head. Same with Tanner as well. But I got to ask, because I want to get into this, but how were you received by the snowboarding community when that happened? How was that experience?
Dude, amazing. Like, beyond amazing, you know? Which is really interesting because I remember, you know, I mean, this is like big conversation, but you spend so much time with the self-talk and developing ideas in your mind of like what is going to happen, especially within your career in a community that is like traditionally, I won't say unaccepting, but there just wasn't anyone there. So in one sense, I always kind of felt like these things were very separate. And it made it really difficult to see my life as a gay male within this industry. And so it was like very separated in my mind, and there was all this fear wrapped around like maybe not being pro anymore, or you know, what that might lead to. And so I guess when it happened and people were like so genuinely supportive and kind, and I received like a million messages, and in person to this day people are just like so nice, you know. And like this week I hadn't seen we're in town for all these premieres right now, and I hadn't seen tons of people, you guys, I hadn't seen tons of people since this happening, you know. And as much as it's not something where I'm like it's some big deal and I'm like looking for attention based on that, it's definitely just different in my own life, and it's in a really familiar environment where I've done all these years and done all this time with these people and built these like relationships. So it can be a bit overwhelming to like get back into that. That being said, though, everyone has been so cool, like so cool. I've received almost no negative feedback, and even beyond negative feedback, because that's like, I think the time we live in, we're super lucky to maybe be past, well, not past a lot of that, and not for everyone, but like within our community, people have done a lot of growing up. But even past that, I think I've now had a lot of experiences with people one-on-one where I can like feel it. Like I can genuinely feel that they're not like uncomfortable around me, or my sexuality makes them uncomfortable in that way. You know, like it's almost like, not only is it just like it was before, it's better. You know, like I can like give somebody a nice big hug and like not be like, is this weird? Or like, you know, it's embarrassing to admit that, but like that sort of thing goes on in your mind when you do like years and years and years of like struggling with something like this. So it's, I'm just so excited, man. Like I'm grateful, you know, like that, doing that with, John and Ian and at Torment, and like, just like, yeah, Jill and Chad and Tanner, and just like, it was, and Kennedy, like it was so beyond anything I can really put into words, and it was so much more than what I expected. I never saw that, you know, like that wasn't something like 8 years ago I was like, this is how it's going to go down, you know. I sort of dreamed up really scary scenarios in which something like that might happen the day that I like hopefully kind of gain the confidence and ability to like talk about something like this. And so when it finally came to be like in that way, it was like, man, I don't know, overwhelming and like the best. Like it's probably actually the happiest I've ever been with anything within my career. Like, and I know that sounds silly because it's like so personal, but like it's my favorite contribution to snowboarding. And that sounds really weird, but like it is, you know, like it's crazy.
That's so fun.
Should be though, right?
So dope, dude.
I remember in the 2000s, some friends and I talked about like there has to be gay snowboarders.
Oh, I'm sure there was, man. That's really sad. Like,
and it took 20 years for this to happen, and it's so for you to be able to be yourself is such a rad thing, and it must have been so hard not to be. So proud of you, man. It's
Thank
so
you.
Cool.
Thanks, you. Yeah, no, I mean it's just like it's like anything. It takes time and it takes shift in yourself and the people around you. And you know, I can't sit here and say I would have done this a long time ago, and I don't judge those who might have wanted to and didn't before. It's like the world and our industry and our community has changed for the better, and it's made it so that like this is a thing we can talk about and do. And like I'm fucking grateful, and I know like a lot of other people are too. So it's cool.
I'm fucking grateful too for just how incredible that experience is. And we were talking at dinner, and you were kind of saying that there's almost like there's two sides that have almost been trained, right? You have like snowboard Jake and you have gay Jake, and they're like they don't always like it's hard to like intertwine those two sides of you, because it's so you almost had to act a certain way to be accepted in snowboarding, I thought, for a long time.
I mean, yeah, that a lot of that was developed just in my own experience internally, but also too, of course, like it was a product of what was going on around me, you know, like I'm trying to, you know, it's a bad habit, but try to make those almost around you happier than you're trying to make yourself. And so you like act a certain way to just like ease the room and like make it easier and like more digestible. And that's something I'm still working on, not just within my own sexuality, but like life. And I think everyone goes through that. But like it is something sometimes where it feels like they're like separated. There's like fragments where you're like trying to reconcile that and bring them together. And like a lot of people go through that, and I don't know if you'll ever fix it all the way, or you hope to, or you know, you just be easy on yourself and like, or I'm trying, you know, and like enjoy it the best you can. Cause like, I mean, I've had the best time this week, and it's been like a really nice, for me, it's fucking weird, but it's like article came out, COVID, been just like at home with my friends who have been so lovely, but like now I'm here and I'm like, okay, this is like in some ways the moment that's been scariest. And then it's just been really, really cool. And so like I'm learning about myself too, like how I respond, like even in an environment like this, talking about it now. I wasn't sure if I could do this, but I'm really happy that I can, you know? So it's like, it's just cool. It's like yeah.
Do you notice any difference?
Live.
I think it's cool too.
I think it's great. Do you notice any difference from, like, how does it feel for you back years ago? You're in the van trying to be this different person. Now you can be yourself. Like, how is that for you?
Oh, it's like the best thing
It's
ever.
just the best thing ever.
Yeah, like, again, something you can't really put into words. But, like, and also, too, it's that much easier. Like, Kennedy is with me so much of the way, and other people, you know? And just having them, you know, there's a lot of people I haven't met, a lot of queer snowboarders I haven't met yet that we communicate online a little bit, or, like, we follow each other, or you just be there for each other, like, even, like, not in a physical sense, but like, you know, like it takes up place in your mind and it makes you comfortable. And it like, so you can, even if you're there alone, you're one of the only queer people in the room. It's still, you're like, I'm here, you know, like this is cool. Like, I'm not like, I don't have to feel like I, you know, like don't deserve this or shouldn't be here. Like, it's like, and snowboarding has been so great for that so far. Like with Tanner having built out Scene, and it's so simple, but it means so much to so many, you know. And like Scene Snowboarding is an Instagram account that Tanner started that's like all queer snowboarders to follow, and like they do these meetups, and like even if only 20 people show up, like it means the world to those who can see it and who are there. So it's like, it's just it being something we never had before. I think it strengthens like our own community as queer snowboarders, but then also like all of snowboarding benefits so much from having this, you know, like it's just better for everyone. We all can understand each other that much better, and like just it's just healthier, you know. Like we don't want it to be like, I don't want snowboarding to be known as some like, you know, toxic like hot boy snowboard shit. Like that's sketchy, you know, like, and like whatever, it's obviously like sort of birthed in this weird way. And even me at times, I'm still trying to be like, okay, release some of those old ways, because like I sort of like grew accustomed to that and like probably perpetuated it at times, but I understand it now, and I'm like, okay, look, let's change this up a little, even if it takes time slowly for me. Other people are just like so incredibly expressive, and like I love them for it, and it's so rad to see. And I like how it's sort of like, it's like in people's face, you know, like that. It's like, it's important. That level of visibility is so important, because then some people see it and they're probably like, oh my God, that person's like so gay. And it's like, it's kind of obnoxious. It's like, no, fuck that. Like, it's equally as obnoxious sometimes for me to be sitting around and hear other people have conversations about, you know, their hetero relationships, you know, and they don't realize that because it's just like the status quo. And so like to have to have the opposing end, not opposing end, it sounds like there's like some sort of, you know, whatever, like it's not two sides. It's just that to have that form and level of representation really can conquer a space and show that like, you know, like we're not going to like step down or like, or pretend to be anything else. And it's no different. It's no different than other people talking as they commonly do about like relationships or sex or whatever, you know, and like, so I think it's kind of important that people sort of check themselves on that and like celebrate it when people are like truly being themselves. Like it's, you know.
I love that. Yeah. Celebrate when people are truly being themselves. Because at the end of the day, we're not different. no one, whether no matter what you identify as, that like why treat somebody as if they're different because they're trans or whatever they identify as, because we're not different.
Yeah, we're all the same.
We're not different, you know. So it's like if somebody wants to be themselves, fucking be themselves. But
it's great because like we all have this thing we're really passionate about across the board, which makes this. I think it should make it easier for us, like like all of us, to be like, oh, like we're all into this, you know, we're all into this,
100%,
and like it comes in different shapes and sizes, but whatever, like that's interesting because shit is boring if it's just a bunch of like
100%.
cab 10s and like this whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like it's like if it's the same like thing over and over from the same individuals, like. We've done that for 20 years. Let's not do that anymore. You know what I mean? Like of course, like, celebrate progression and like, you know, talented people, but like make space for everybody, you know, cause it's like their role is just as important as this one over here. That's like doing the crazy shit, you know, like.
Now you can't pretend it doesn't exist.
No. And that it doesn't benefit, again, everybody, the experience of snowboarding in the industry and like, just like, you know, bringing more people into something that we all like is like, it should be like number one, you know?
And that's, so there's something that happens. I've heard this come up with a bunch of like dudes that I know. If let's say they're talking, you know, a subject like this comes up or something like that, right? And I've heard people say, you know, why are they making such a big deal about it? I don't care that they're gay. Like nobody cares that they're gay. And I mean, I have my argument for that, but I would love to hear your take on that, because there's some hetero males that will say stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I just love to just fucking close the door on that.
But it's just because literally, they've never been in a position where they need to feel as an outsider. And I feel like I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I'm like a cis white male. You know, like I of course I'm gay and that's come with its own hardships, but I also know what it's like to be able to just like fit in and for things to come my way. You don't sort of like have to experience those things always, you know, like not everyone. So it's really hard for them to pull themselves out of their own experience towards the other person and just see it for their own, for what they might be happening and what it might feel like to hear or interact with these environments and like what goes on in them, you know? So it's like, I'm grateful in a lot of course, like I'm so happy to be gay and like be out, and like I'm really grateful for what it's taught me, you know, like at this point in my life, because it makes me, I mean, I hope it makes me more compassionate to other people, you know, like, and being like, damn, that's not easy, you know, like, and like, I definitely learn a lot quicker now that I've like come to terms with that within my own self, and being able to sort of like view others and hear what they have to say and like
compassion.
You like walk a mile in other people's shoes.
Yeah. I mean, it gets said and everyone's like grows up on that, but they don't actually really practice it always, you know? And it's like, I don't know. It's important. I had close friends saying stuff like that to me, but I think, and it was frustrating because I was like, they look at me as this, like, sometimes like, they're like, Jake, man, like, you know, whatever, like he's chill or something. Like I can air this out with them and he's not going to take offense to it or something. And I'm like, that's frustrating in itself, because it's like, it's almost like denying my own experience or something.
Your truth.
A little bit. Like you're just like, nah, dude, like this has to happen, you know? And maybe it's going to be uncomfortable for you for a little bit, but like eventually you might figure it out. And it was uncomfortable for me at times, you know, like
100%.
Like, so it's like,
let's get uncomfortable.
Here's another thing too. Yeah. Well, this is an opportunity to educate too, because like also one thing you got to think about, when I put myself in your shoes, right? Let's say a 16-year-old Jake Kuzyk, like, and there's no openly gay snowboarders. It's fucking terrifying. There is nobody to look up to. But now take the 16-year-old kid that's aspiring to be a pro snowboarder, and all of a sudden, oh shit, it's socially acceptable to be gay. Fuck yeah, like I can be myself. I don't have to live in this fucking shell of like, and like that's to fucking diminish how important that is you have to be a fucking idiot. Like, you have to be a fucking idiot as far as I'm concerned, you know, not to be like passionate, but like.
No, I appreciate that. Like it's yeah, exactly.
Do you have words for 16-year-old Jake?
For me?
Yeah.
Oh man, that goes deeper than maybe we can get in onto on here.
Cool.
Yeah, but or
anyone just struggling with it, you know?
Yeah, you know what? I guess it just, and it's so maybe cliche, but really important, is just like recognize that your own sort of your own emotions towards something like your sexuality, like the inside things that no one else is going to experience except for you. You have to listen to those and you have to act on those, even if it's like, you know, take your time and be safe and experience that like in a way that's honest. But don't get wrapped up in the things that you hear from others and then create some sort of narrative in your own mind, because that is going to start to feel like emotions. That's going to start to feel like that's how you think you feel and think, but it's not. It's like those two things are so different, you know, like, because we all know, like, whether it's a gut instinct or whatever, you know how you feel like towards something or what you want or like desire or gravitate toward. It's like, so to just sort of like be easy on yourself and take slow steps towards that. And I think that's the best thing you can do.
Yeah, be nice to
without
yourself.
Overwhelming, you know, it's like, because I definitely did a long time of just being like, whether it was all these moving parts in my life told me that I couldn't be like this, like listened to that more than I listened to how I was really experiencing something, you know, like, so I guess that's probably it.
I think that's great.
Yeah, that's strong.
Back to what Chris was saying about the people that say what you were saying about the conversation, like, why is it such a big deal? I think it's because they're scared to talk about it. That's why they say it. It's like an easy way to like be like, oh, what's the big deal? Why do we even have to talk about
yeah,
this?
you're probably right on some level. And also, too, I think that maybe they fancy themselves some like extreme forward-thinking individual where they're like, why does it even have to be about sexuality? Yeah. It's like, okay, cool, man. Easy for you to say. You're like straight and like don't gotta be dealing with this. And like, I mean, dude, even I'm going to these premieres and I'm like, it's so fun. I'm seeing everybody. There's like no cute gay guys there. Like, I'm like, okay, this is fun, but like you guys all get to, like, girls and guys, everybody, whoever, they get to be there and they get to be like excited about the night and they're partying and they're like maybe gonna see and like kiss somebody cute or something fun. Like, and I'm kind of sitting there just being like, dude, like, this is dope, but also like at some point, those were always like actually some of the hardest things was like partying, because partying is where like you get into some of those uncomfortable situations where, like, you know. So anyways, but still.
Yeah, you go into a snowboard party, you know what you're going to expect.
Oh, yeah. You know?
So you're like, I want to go to this other place in town here.
Yeah,
I'm in Munich right now, or I'm in this cool city.
Suntrap.
Let's go somewhere else, man. Let's go to my scene here. Everyone, let's all go to somewhere cool.
Mm-hmm. And I got to ask personally, because, you know, this is like, I'm excited. I'm fucking excited chatting about this.
Yeah, it's fun.
I want to learn, you know, with having friends like you and Tanner, and it's like, I want to learn. And my question to you would be like, you know, simple stuff, just in general, maybe as it pertains to our like snowboard community or just in general, things that people don't realize, like, how can we be better? I don't know if that's a shitty question, but how can we be better in that regard?
To me, I mean, this is like, I can only speak to my own in this way, and this is maybe a simple answer, but I think, and I've experienced this week too, which I'm so grateful for, but like making someone feel comfortable and like being available for them to like have the conversation about like their own experience as a queer person, and not just being like, I'm down, and then like we never talk about it again. Like it's like because, you know, my straight friend, I feel weird like always pitting them against each other or something. It's not like that, but some people will talk to you about their really, really casually about their experience on a date or their relationship, or, you know, who they hope to meet or who they find attractive or whatever it might be. And like, it doesn't always feel safe to talk about that within your own, if you're queer, like you're around a lot of other people who aren't. It doesn't feel like maybe that'll be accepted in the same way. It might feel like you're walking on like eggshells a bit more, and it might make everyone uncomfortable and like blah, blah, blah. So to just be like available to like hear about that and interact and like just be cool, because it's literally the exact same thing.
Yeah, you need to talk about your relationship
Yeah, it's
troubles.
literally the exact same thing. So like, I think it's just being like normalizing the conversation is so big, and I'm like watching that in myself quite slowly, but like change. It's cool. I'm excited. Like, just it's fun.
I gotta tell you, as a friend, last night you're telling us about your relationship endeavors and whatnot, and it's fucking loving it. You know, it's awesome. It's like we're just firing back and forth.
I mean, you get more from someone when they have the ability to do that. You know, I didn't do that for a long time, and I think I was probably pretty like. I mean, I know people were around me, kind of being like, "What? This guy's like a bit locked in or something," you know, because there's like a big piece of yourself that you don't allow. And so like, and whether people want to realize it or not, they don't want to give it the power it holds to talk about your sexuality like some important thing. It's important, and it matters so much. And it's like, it's a big piece of who we are, you know? And you don't have to give it all that, but it's healthy to understand that, you know?
And you haven't been able to talk about it for years.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're probably excited too.
Yeah.
Do you guys ever watch that show, Sex Ed?
Someone told me about this recently. It's a sitcom, right?
Normalizes. It's a TV show, but it just normalizes every single type of relationship.
Right.
And it's so good. It's season 2's out now, and it's just incredible.
Oh, is it?
I haven't seen it yet, but I've heard that, and I've seen some other shows. Oh, what's the other one that's like super intense? But there's like it's really great that they're doing stuff like that now. You know, my mom watches it and she's like, "Did you see this?" And I'm like, "I didn't even watch that. You watched that?" Like, it's so funny. Like,
it's good for learning too, though, and you just see everything on there. So it's really like opens your mind. I don't know. And it's just a great show.
Of course.
Yeah. Another thing Tanner sent me. You know, I'm not the one to be fucking talking about this stuff, but like, whatever. Tanner, I've been trying to get more educated, and it is, you know. I've realized that it is kind of my own ignorance in the sense, like, you have a choice. You have a choice to either be educated or be uneducated, you know? And it's like having friends that you care about, like, might as well make the choice to be educated. And it's, you know, he sent this one thing, this podcast. I'll put a link in the show notes that was super informative. And, you know, the main takeaway is like, it, you know, especially with people identifying as they, them, and trans, and people get all upset about it and they're angry about it, but if you were to, they're not taking anything away from you. Like, they're not these people aren't, by them wanting to express themselves in a certain way, why not be compassionate? We're all humans. If that's how you want to live your life as a human, why not be compassionate towards that group of people and say, "Oh, if I put myself in your shoes, I understand where you're coming from. Okay, I back it. We're all humans. We're all the same." But there's nothing that's getting taken away. So it's just this bizarre.
I mean, I think it's you know, people are so quick to feel the shame and guilt associated with it, and I think, like, I'll say that's not my intention. I'm not sitting here trying to like, oh, like, this hurt me for this reason and all this, like, all the time. You know, of course, like, it's important. The things need to be said, and you can't apologize about it. But at the same time, it's like, I'm not sitting here trying to like shame an audience. It's like, it's about learning, and, you know, just move forward with it with an open mind versus being like, "Oh, I don't like how this feels. Fuck that." You know, that's what it is.
All right, buds, let's get into the bomb hole of the week.
Let's do this.
What are we talking about here?
First, we're going to talk about Volcom's patented tech, Zip Tech.
What is that, buds?
You know, they like wearing bibs, right?
Yeah.
But it comes spring, bibs get hot.
Yes, they do.
What if I told you could attach your pants to your jacket, forming a union, much like a union suit?
Okay, so they have a union of the pantalones and the jacket. That's
With a
Spanish.
zipper.
Okay, with a zipper.
So you don't have to have bibs to keep the snow out. You could just have Volcom Zip Tech.
Now, why do you want to keep the snow out, buds?
Dude, it's the only way to stay warm, stay out, ride longer, have fun with the boys. You don't want to be that dude that's in the lodge, the old lodge lizard.
That's true. I mean, I see guys like, take Reed Smith, Pat Moore. They seem to constantly land on their backs and just destroy the landing. Is this beneficial for them?
And not just those guys. I get out there and rip the powder. All of a sudden, if it's not connected with Zip Tech, you got powder just flying up your jacket.
Yep. You do a heel side turn, it's going up the jacket.
Up the jacket or down the pants. Either way, it's very sad, and you're going to be in the car.
Okay. So what kind of giveaway are we doing, buds?
So we want to see your bails. We want to see how Zip Tech can help you Sometime you've cartwheeled through the powder. We want to see your best bails. Hashtag volcombombproof, at volcomsnow, at the bomb hole. What are you going to get?
I think you get a little prize pack. I believe Volcom maybe put some gear in there. You tell me, Buds. What do you get?
One of their team riders actually picks the best bail of the week, and then we will send you out the package. Let's see those bails. Hashtag volcombombproof. Let's go.
Before we change gears, I got to ask, too, thinking about putting myself in your shoes. You grew up in a small town in Canada. And generally, when you take a small town, they're not as accepting. They're usually, sometimes very churchy, sometimes very conservative. Definitely not as accepting of the gay community as per se take a New York City or a bigger city for that matter. It's just a place that like it's kind of known that like a farm town, you're not going to be well accepted if you're gay, right?
Yeah,
now,
well, I think it's just the lacking representation in those spaces because of like volume of people, and then also like, people just, sometimes when you live in smaller areas, your life is a bit smaller. You're not experiencing as much diversity. So it's that much easier to just sort of be like viewing those things as like, I don't know, inappropriate or far off or like not acceptable or welcomed, So that's like, I think that's by nature, like it's just like what happens in small places. It sucks. Not always, but definitely more so, And for me growing up like that, 100%. And my school, I'm trying to remember properly, but I feel as if there was no outwardly gay men. I don't think there was any queer people in my school outwardly so, where we had like discussions about it. And it was also just a bunch of white kids, and it was like partying in like gravel pits and getting like hammered drunk. And like, dude, it was like kind of fucked up. But like, so yeah, honestly, I think for me, in my experience early on in that moment, like it wasn't even an option. You were just kind of like, whoa, that one's going away. Like it was just kind of like, don't even, so it's hard to touch on because it was like, there wasn't much like progress happening then, And I was so into skateboarding and snowboarding, I had that and like just like forced all my attention there, as like a way to just like stay happy and motivated and do things.
I'm gonna go therapist fucking Johnson question in you. But
we're going to Oprah Winfrey show at this point.
We're going full Oprah vibes. Now, do you think that you took that angst and that pent up energy and that kind of like,
you guys like this one? I've seen this one on here. Yeah. No, of course.
I always ask.
That's why. No. I love it. I'm familiar with this question. No, of course, man. Of course, it's like I feel like it's like deadly obvious, and it's also like, anyone dealing with anything, that's how they usually react, and it's a survival thing. And I'm just stoked that I had that. I'm really like. The validation you get from being a professional snowboarder is like really great, but like it's kind of can be it can hold you back sometimes when you're like experiencing these other things, because I was going through this being like, well, I'm like pro and this is insane and I'm so happy and I have all these great friends, I travel the world and I'm like paid, like what do you got to cry about or something? But that's not how we work, like you have to, like, I don't know. You just have to be realistic, and like that's just like Well,
I'll tell you this. Certainly turning to obsessing about frames of how a back lip is filmed is significantly...
Eat up a lot of time up there.
More healthy than drugs.
Yeah, actually, you know what? I'm really grateful, so grateful that I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just my personality, but I never really got into drugs, or I don't even drink that much. I've had 1 1/4 of these pub beers since I've been here. I'm grateful for that, because that is how a lot of people deal with stuff, So I don't know.
Well, I think it could be a good time to whack your first smelling salt.
Yes.
Straight off the gay talk to
this is a perfect
smell salt.
Good little gear change.
How do you do? You just crank it?
You squeeze it, like just pinch it, and it'll break.
Oh
just
fuck!
snap.
I'm gonna try my best to like
give it a good whiff. Don't be scared.
There
it is.
Yeah. I love how you kept it silent. Worked so hard.
We can send it around. Send it around the horn here.
Holy fuck. I
good.
tried. It's like on my fingers.
Oh! Wow. That'll pick you up for the second half.
It puts tears in your eyes pretty quickly.
It does.
That stuff.
It does. That's like doing drugs, but not really.
Were you guys mad that I didn't get the tears going, so you just had to get it on your own? You're
Yes.
like,
Yeah, we had to force a tear. With
yeah,
the
you were like, fuck. Okay, make them cry.
We're gonna have to make this guy
Cue the
get the
tears.
onions.
Where's the salt?
Chop some goddamn onions. People don't actually cry. We just have Paul, our editor, chopping onions
Chop the onions.
while we talk. That's our go-to move.
Someone won't cry. Bring in the onions.
Bring in the onions. Bring in the onions. So let's talk about this fucking back of yours, dude. This fucking asshole of a back.
Yeah. My back has been hurting a bit for a little while, but I mean, I think, okay, when you're snowboarding every day and you're like jumping off shit and you're not like whatever, you're just doing it and you're young, you're not stretching enough and you're not doing all the things you're supposed to do now. It just seems like you're like, yeah, my back kills. Okay, I literally just like jumped off a 2-story building. Of course it hurts, And so then I would just kind of go with that for a while. And I think that was kind of a long time coming. And the symptoms just in the last sort of year and a half, sort of like right around filming Evergreen, they just sort of like started to get to a point where I couldn't just like push through them anymore. And I was seeking help and through different like practitioners and stuff. And it felt like it was getting better. I have highs and lows, and Evergreen was kind of tough. I was hurt for like a full month that year, and I had never been hurt before. But I had like never been injured with anything that took me out for a significant amount of time prior to that, which I'm super lucky, like you hear about all the time. And so missed like a part of the year with Evergreen and was really bummed. And then so it kind of was just bugging me all through that summer. Leading into fall, I sort of got some like feeling a bit better, and I was like doing like a lot of strength training and sort of found like an avenue that felt like it was working, and I was feeling like quite on top of it. And so going into this last winter, which would have been like December 2022 or no 2020. I was just like, I'm feeling better. We had just done the Torment article, and obviously there was like a big release with that at that time, and I was just excited. Like I was like, so much had felt like it had changed in my life, and my back felt like it was getting better, and I was just like, made a lot of plans. We had like organized this video that is called Super Glue, and at the time I was just like, here we go, it's COVID, but like we're gonna be in Canada. It's gonna be like me, Kennedy, Jed, Hayden Wrench, small crew. Like it was shout out Hayden, the best editor filmer. But like and so like I was just feeling this way where I was like so ready to just like hit it really hard, and I had to sort of make a lot of big plans, and through that put a lot of pressure on myself, I think, in ways that I didn't quite realize, while my injury wasn't all the way better, but was just being quite ambitious and just trying to stay in it. And then January came. I had went to visit my mom for a while during Christmas time. It was crazy lockdown. We pretty much just like drank and like ate Christmas food and like chilled for 5 days. And something happened. I had like a really crazy flare up on the flight home, and it was bad. And my back was like really messed up for pretty much the entire winter from like January 1st, which is actually when they started filming. They didn't start filming until January 1st, and they ended filming before March. So there was only 2 months to film for they only filmed for this video for 2 months, and I was like in my worst shape that whole time. Buds, you're still clearing the eyes from this. I'm like, I know, man, my back. No, but, very emotional. Yeah. But it was just like, it just sucked, dude. Like, it's just like, and it's easy midwinter, the stress, the plans, the promises. It can get crazy. And like, I think I just kind of like ran myself around with that. And, it was rough. I was out all winter. You know, some days I was having a hard time out there, like even just doing the simplest things. But it fluctuates. Like some days I could do it. I had a couple of weeks where I sort of tried to film and it didn't really work. And it was just, it would just get worse every time I got to a moment that felt like I could have maybe got like a shot that was good enough. It was just like one fall, bad impact, out for another week or something. It was weird. It's hard to talk about because it's the first time I've ever had to really navigate anything like this. And at a time where I probably have like the most appreciation I've ever had for what I'm doing and feel the most inspired. So it's like, it sucks. But that being said, I did some things this summer, just like continued on with my recovery and like seeing like a personal trainer and, the whole thing. But I did some PRP therapy in my back, if you guys know about it. Actually, Bob talked about that. Right? Yeah, they're like these, they remove your blood. They spin it in this like thing, this machine thing. And then it separates like the plasma-rich platelets from the rest of the blood. They inject that into the location where they believe, or like this part of your body that they think is like where the tissue damage is, to try and like, it regenerates tissue. It takes a long time. So I did that through the summer. Over 3 months, I did 3 injections, and every time you get an injection, you're kind of out for like almost 3 weeks, and then you're doing the next one a week later, basically. So for all of the summer, I basically didn't skate, I didn't film, because I was just doing this process of this thing, and it was like a long, frustrating one, like just whole summer, you just can't really use your body much, and like because I was like on a very specific diet to try and help, aid the process and like all these things. Like it just like, it was a very intense process. And I probably was going pretty ham on it. I like to like, I'm like, if I'm going to do it, I want to do it as best as I can to try and heal the best I can. And so it was it was a weird summer. But that being said, I am feeling better. But still, I just am going to take it slow, I think, because I definitely wound myself up last fall and put a lot on my own just sort of like mind. And I think that for this winter, I'm just trying to be like, okay, just be out there with your friends and like get the things you can get and like, take your time and build it up slowly versus just trying to like smash out the door. And like, I just really wanted to film a really, really, really good video part, and I felt like I was like equipped for it. And so it was damaging to like not have that. It was just like really frustrating, especially when you're just like driven and you're like, oh, I just want to do it right now. So this winter I just have to be a little easier, I think, and just keep working at it. And but I've been skating and stuff lately.
One thing I do got to ask, what because injuries can be resulted from physical, and you mentioned stress, which is kind of, it's not physical, it's more maybe emotional.
Yeah.
What percentage do you think they each played a part in it? Like, do you think that your back injury was because of strictly falling, or do you think, you kind of touched on it, but do you think it's also a big part of it's the stress, the mental?
A huge part of it is stress, especially at different times. When it's been this long of a period, your mind goes through these crazy things where you're like, you're waking up every day. Like literally there'd be like mornings where I would be like on the mat at my house in my apartment for like day 300 in a row, doing like the list of different strength exercises and mobility exercises. And I'm just like on this mat day 300 or some shit. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, this is crazy. And it can like really wear you down, like, so injuries are nuts. I never really dealt with them before, obviously, like I was saying. And now that I am, you sort of have to like learn a lot about yourself through them. And like, again, be easy on yourself. But it's a tough one to answer that question, because I don't know when it's one or the other, You try and you do your best, but it's like, it's really tough, especially backs. Backs like infamously are just this really like mysterious, to my understanding, they just seem like there's a lot of unknowns, and it's like different doctors and specialists will tell you like all different things. But I'm not like, my injury isn't like insane. Like I'm not like, I don't need like surgery or anything like that. Like it's just like it's just annoying. Like, dude, when that shit hurts, it's really hard to do anything.
You
know?
can't even cough with a hurt back
Yeah,
sometimes.
I didn't drink for like months. You know, like things like this, I was just going like so ham on it. Like, and so at some point you need to find a balance. That's kind of why I came here for this trip, was because I was just like, dude, I've been home for a year and a half, injured. I want to see my friends. Like, I want to go have fun. I want to just like get reconnected with people, because it's just like I need it so bad, you know, like. So, and it's been good for that. It's been so good, like amazing.
The half cab flips are hitting.
I'm feeling not bad.
Yeah, they're folding over. Like they're
actually, I was pretty hyped on that one.
They're kind of like they're not.
I hope those stick around though. If they're going somewhere, I'm pretty bummed.
The hard flips are hitting.
That's kind of new.
The front bigs are always there.
Yeah.
We haven't seen a back three out of you on the skateboard though.
Let's go. Is it raining?
Hard to
looks
say.
sunny out right
We've
now.
been in the hole for a while.
We got
it's hard to
everything
say.
closed up in here.
I see some sun.
Oh, you do?
Sun rays.
It kind of looks like it's coming through.
The eye of the storm, I think, just came through.
Absolutely. So we're going to get into a little section of the show we call Hot Takes. So we ask these pretty much universally. Who do you got for the greatest of all time, both male and female, of snowboarding?
Oh, man.
You got to give us a name you can't dodge.
I know. It's so hard. See, this question, I've tried to think about it, and it's really hard for me because, like, I don't even really think, you know, like, what he represents in sport, like, doesn't really equate to snowboarding in my mind. Not Terrier. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe Mikey to me.
Mikey LeBlanc?
Yeah.
Big Mike.
Yeah. Probably. Yeah, Mikey. Like, I just think, like, especially for my time when I was a kid and just, like, everything around him, especially, like, I love videos and stuff and making them, and he made videos, and he was the star, and, like, he's just the sickest. Steezy bastard. Like,
very steezy.
That's a fucking great answer.
Yeah.
That is a great answer.
Yeah. Mikey for, like, and just to this day, like, he's the coolest. Like, he just is such a down-to-earth rad guy, and I think he's had like he's changed a lot too, and like it's so wicked. Had such a nice conversation with him at the premiere. It was like actually like I was like,
he loves this shit, dude.
He's such a
he
rad
really
dude.
really loves snowboarding.
I was like standing there talking to him, like I'm 31 now, and I was like still in my head being like, I can't believe Mikey LeBlanc is talking to me about this right now. Like I was like, that's so
Had a rad video
yeah
premiere too.
And he's like hyped. Like I was like, this is the sickest thing I've ever, you know.
He's a national treasure of snowboarding, though. We needed to make sure.
Yeah, National Treasure is maybe a better label.
Does a great job.
Yeah,
we got to take care of him.
But then, for like for men, and then like in the modern day, let's say it's like Louis to me. Like
solid.
He's probably had one of the biggest impacts on how I do stuff.
What do you think about when Louis didn't get last part in These Days? Out of curiosity.
Oh, I wasn't in it enough then to like obviously I was like, this is kind of weird. That was back when people were like, there's jump footage. It's got to be the last part, you know, like there was all these rules. I think that's what went on there.
I like to say it's one of the biggest mistakes ever made in the history of snowboarding.
There's a few there. Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's the best. It's such a good part. I watch it still.
That's what they use as a scapegoat, is the whole jump thing.
Oh, totally. Especially then. Spun, and there was probably like way more sponsor crap involved, and who knows. But yeah, and then as far as women, I mean, like it's interesting because I've always just been like, there's just certain people that excite me, and it's not to say always like what it's one thing or the other. Like they're not like, it's like the MJ, that's so crazy. But like I remember being so down for Priscilla Levesque. Like,
oh yeah,
yeah. I mean, again, she's in Love Hate. And then, I mean, Hannah's been around forever, and she's just doing it she's just, like, so sick. I currently worship Kennedy, you know, like Kennedy Deck. I just love how she moves and the things she does, and, yeah. And it's early for her. There's still so much cool stuff we're going to get. Yeah, women's snowboarding is in like the best place ever right now. Or sorry, I shouldn't say it. I mean, I'm sure there's things that could get much, much better. But I'm really happy to see where it is. You know, it's like, it's cool. It's really cool.
Agreed.
Mm-hmm.
For moving on for hot takes, if you could go heliboarding with 3 people, who would it be?
Heliboarding?
Just for fun. Like you're going, like imagine
for good times.
You're getting dropped off in a helicopter and it's like good times
Dan?
boarding. Dirt bike Dan?
Yeah. Oh, man. Blake. 3.
There's only one more seat. You better pick wisely.
It's got to be someone ridiculous. I don't know. It would be really funny to have like, I don't know, maybe we'd have like Hayden filming or Carlino or somebody ridiculous like that. That would just be like extra hilarious. Like just make it so good. I don't know. That's a weird one. I've never been heliboarding, so like,
it's really fun.
Yeah. I've been inside one. I went to that Baldface Lodge once, but like it's like that was it. I don't know, man. Those guys.
That's a solid answer.
Yeah.
I got a new one. I got a new one for hot takes. Who is most underrated?
New shit.
I mean, Mark Wilson's pretty underrated. Like really underrated in my opinion. Those who know and like give it up all day, but I think people like he's been doing really good stuff for a really long time in a way that like is really, really well executed. But yeah, Mark. There's others, but yeah.
Last question. Stir the pot a little bit. Worst rail trick. What do you got?
Like to this day, like swivels are just I can't do it anymore. You know what I mean? Like it's just like but that's obvious, and I feel like nobody even does it. A really bad like board slide or like sort of like blunt slide 270 thing is just so bad. When it's like so bad, it's bad. You know what I mean? Like when people just kind of like shit one out, and you're like no. Like you know what I mean? Like it's like because it just looks so like you know what I mean? I don't know. It happens.
It's a great answer.
Do you know what I mean? And it's such a simple trick. It's like a burger or something. It can be like so good or so bad.
Tommy's
like it's like you're like you know,
dude, Gesme in Good Sport where he's like loaded up for like
you can't be seeing those and then like somebody over here is just like crumbing one like it's like no good.
I hate to say I'm gonna say some of the old Tech 9 videos might be some of the worst board slide 270s.
They were just hot back then, right? As a photographer, never a fan.
That was like of an era though. Like, you know, like
they're actually so bad they're
dude,
good.
like Mikey did this really sick one. It's like totally different, but Mikey did this really sick one. He does like switch lip 270 on that red rail with the little kink on the end, and he's like pretty much lands like more than sideways. It's like like all the way to the concrete, and I'm like, damn, he looked dope doing that. You know, like Mark Frank Montoya. I mean, I think even like Justin had some Deadlong. Shout out Deadlong.
All right, I got to ask, what board are you riding these days, and how do you set it up?
I have a pro model with K2. It's yeah, it's called the Medium, but I had it for a couple years actually. And
what kind of flex we talking with this thing?
It's a bit of a stiff one, but not really. It's like an all around. The whole thing with the board is that I really like to have one snowboard that just kind of can do it all. And I know obviously that's like kind of unrealistic, but I actually just stick to this thing in like any environment. I just prefer it. I'll size up or size down. I just like the feeling of like one snowboard that's going to function pretty good in like in all environments. So this thing's like really just like fairly traditional camber, not a ton, and like it's a bit stiff for some, but I quite like it. It's still like you can go fast on it and like get some good snap, but like I ride it in the street too, and like a 55 even. Yeah, and then what are you talking, angles?
Yeah, angles, detune.
I kind of I detune my edges with a file, and I do this thing where I do like take pretty much all the nose and tail off, and then along the like whatever effective edge, I just like only go like a finger, like I like put my finger on the top of the base, and then just pull it. I don't like round it or anything, so it just sort of like changes the 90 degree to like a new angle, but it's still like sharp.
Mm-hmm.
I figure if you're like on a rail and you're going like this, you're like hooking up and going down anyways, so you might as well just like keep some edge somewhere. But so I do that, and then
it's Jibologist right there.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember where I got that from.
Somebody. Jibology 101.
Somebody.
You can actually take his master class. He'll give you
I
a
can't believe I have
tutorial.
a degree now. That's amazing. But yeah. And then for angles, I don't actually know how to say angles. I have like the front is like 5 ticks, and then
you go by clicks.
Yeah,
So
I
that'd
like,
be 3 degrees.
3, so 15.
I think it's 15, and then I think that the back one is 2 outward,
6.
like
-6.
Yeah,
-6,
yeah. There we go. So I think that's
Keep
how I'm
that
rocking it.
base pristine in the streets.
I mean, I'm
Wax it
definitely
nightly?
like a bit obsessive over keeping it good. I sometimes wax it lots. I definitely wax almost every day on the mountain. I once heard that if you wax a board a ton right away, it like hardens the base and makes it go way faster. So I just, when I get new boards, I mean, it could just be total bullshit, but I like wax the hell out of it every day and scrape it and everything. But yeah. And then what else, are there others?
Well, I gotta ask too, because I'm not sure. I think like as a beginner, a lot of people enjoy like a really soft flex, and I think it's cool to talk about. You know, as you get better at snowboarding, why a stiffer flex is more conducive in some ways.
Yeah, I mean, it's harder to learn on, right? Because you have to respond with your body way more to the snowboard. But once you can kind of get to a level where like you're strong enough and confident enough to move a snowboard, like strongly, like it's total game changer, and you want that support that comes from a really stiff snowboard or like a somewhat stiff snowboard. I still like to like butter and stuff a lot, like sort of like just spin around and tic tac and like be able to move quick. So I don't want anything insane, but I definitely like camber. Like I can't do like anything else really at this point, because it just pops, you know. You feel it. It looks cool. Mm-hmm. Also, it looks cool. Like I can't stand seeing a snowboard in the air that's like just doing this. Like in a you do
when you
the
notice
photos.
it. Yeah, it's crazy.
It's bad.
It's bad.
It's bad. Like to me, but like you see just like a traditional round twin tip, the sick grab, and it's just like to me that snowboard
classic.
in the air looks so good.
Yeah.
Like at this point I'm willing to struggle through what literally will be like riding backcountry and like powder, and I'm all like, I'm on this board because like the photos will look dope. and it's kind of sucks to ride on it, but like I'll see it doesn't suck to ride on it. It's maybe a bit harder, but like than like some sort of like super powder specific shape.
Yeah.
But I'm not really like how people's feet look when they're all back on it and the nose is all like I just think a traditional snowboard looks super good. So I kind of just maybe like punish myself through that one a bit sometimes, but
Yeah, smart.
yeah.
I mean, like when you get the photo and the thing looks right, it's
Makes you feel good.
something to be said. You know what's interesting? I detuned the shit out of my nose and tail for doing like nose blunts on the snow and stuff. And I remember Louis, I think it was him. Somebody was watching me detune and they were making fun of me so bad. Like, why are you detuning?
For ripping it off. I
For
mean, Louis
detuning the
doesn't
nose
he,
and
I
tail.
mean, there's like, it's funny. I don't even think I've asked him that. He's like actually my friend, but there was like always the rumor where you're like, he doesn't touch him. There's like, he just leaves it, dude. And like, everyone's like, maybe he does. I don't know.
Yeah, he doesn't. I don't think he detunes.
He
his
pulls
edges.
them out the package and just goes, huh?
I've seen Latex do that same shit though.
Oh, shit.
That's based on just laziness and nothing
Yeah,
else.
like you know what's amazing about Jed? This is like going back to
he
Jed.
doesn't want to put the time in.
Yeah.
I seen Jed not snowboard all fucking summer. It was the year he did that VG part where he had last part, and it was like he cabbed 2 backlips that rail in my town, and it's I forget which VG it's called. Anyway, he literally like his first time snowboarding of the year, he pulled the shit out of the plastic like on a trip and was like setting up a board and hadn't even snowboarded. And he's literally fucking just getting into some hogs, like, right, like hadn't even no warm up, like preseason
dude,
rail,
even when
no
he didn't
detune.
he filmed his like video part with Meyer and Adidas. Like I don't think he had touched his snowboard for a year and a half or something. Yeah. And I heard stories about, because I think like Dylan told me he like met up with them and he was like at the top of some crazy like Z kink rail, and he just like was like, this feels crazy, like strapping in, like hadn't even like seen like his board in so long, and then he just was like right away switch boards up. Like I don't think it was in the part, but it's totally nuts. Like I've seen the footage, and like we all obviously know what happened after that. Like he just filmed ill shit.
As far as other sponsors, we talked about the board. What other gear we rocking with these days?
Yeah, K2 has a binding as well called the Formula, and I just really like that binding a lot because it's really, really simple and straightforward, and it like never breaks on me or anything because there's just like no real gadgets to it. Like it's just really simple, traditional, I suppose. And then they kind of let me design like a color, and often like the graphic is associated with my board graphic on that binding and stuff. So that's kind of my setup, is like Formula on a medium. And I've been riding that for like 12 years. That binding, nothing else. Like rarely. It's kind of crazy. But and then for boots, I'm kind of always on a Vans High Standard or a High Standard Pro. I've been riding like the High Standard Pro lately, and I really like it. And I'll probably ride that next because that's Cole's boot. Kennedy has a really dope boot that comes in sizing like for everybody basically, no matter like how your foot is sort of like shaped, which is cool.
Public boot looks sick.
Yeah, the public boot does look sick. Yeah, so it's just like probably balance between Kennedy and Cole's boot on Vans there.
And then what are we talking for outerwear? Anything else? Thing cooking in the
just like Vans apparel stuff, you know? Yeah, they got some jackets and shit that we wear.
What about, we're going to see like a Rockstar energy
I think Kennedy
drink?
has a pant coming out that's really cool with them.
Sick.
Yeah, it's probably rock that.
What about you gonna be rocking like a Rockstar energy drink patch on the head?
I think they're probably gonna call after we do this interview. No, I've never had any like offers for anything like that, which like I'm stoked because it makes that one easy. I don't have people like, would you do it? I'm like, well, they don't call me, so I don't want but yeah, I don't. I just like having freedom, and I think that those sponsors can come with a lot of like sacrifice. So I wouldn't really be interested in that. So no.
We kind of breezed over this, but I think we should definitely brief people on your skateboarding. We're going to say body of work. Let's beat that word to death lately. All your skate videos that you filmed and edited, the people need to be able to find these hogs. So where's the best place to find them? Yeah,
some of the older ones that I made are on YouTube, just like on my private, or not my personal YouTube account. And it's just my name. And then the newer stuff is on Vimeo. I don't know why. I kind of like split it up, but it's a bunch of the new stuff's on Vimeo. Some of the like newer ones or like the bigger ones, I guess, that people have maybe seen is like, I made this video for Spitfire recently called Kickback. And Jed's in it actually, and like a Dustin and Landon and like a bunch of my friends like in Vancouver. And then also we linked with like some guys in the States, and they came up and visited us, and yeah, so it's cool. It's like, it was a sweet opportunity to do that. And then previous to that, we made a Vans video called Courtesy that was released on Thrasher, and like that was probably the biggest thing I actually ever worked on. That was like really crazy, like a budget and like tons of skaters and like team managers, and like it was like that was like a wild one, and like, you know, again, it was like all my friends, because all of them like skateboard for Vans in Canada, and it was like specific to Canada. But then we skated a bit with like Cater was in that video, and like it was wild. It was cool. Yeah. And then another one I made before that was called the Antisocial video for the Antisocial shop in Vancouver.
Dude, that was so good.
Yeah, it's an old one now. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's like probably 7 years old, but that's crazy. But yeah. It that was like one of my more favorite ones. And that video I worked on for 3 years, which is weird. Like, yeah, 3 years for a shop video.
VX.
All VX. I was the pretty much only filmer and like some other friends. And it just took forever. Some of the guys lived in Montreal. I lived in Vancouver. We were just like traveling lots. We went to New York. Bunch of places. It was really cool.
Well, beautiful. We'll throw a link to all these in the YouTube description and the show notes if you're listening.
Mm-hmm.
Now, before we get out of here too, we gotta ask, man, who you gotta throw some thank yous out to some people.
Oh yeah, the sponsorships for sure. Vans, K2, Howl, Daryl. I feel like didn't get mentioned enough in this, but yeah, Daryl is the absolute best. Yeah, that's it. A short list, but yeah, there's so many people, man. I mean, obviously my family. Dude, it's like, where do you stop once you start doing this? Kevin Casillo at Vans, the Hacker Brothers. I mentioned Dave Burney once already. He helped me so much initially. I had a good pal, Andy Larkin, got me sponsored for my first thing when I was really little. I got on Elm when I was like 13. You remember that hat company? They might still exist, actually. Dude, yeah, all the people at Vans that helped out with like organizing, like doing products with us. They're so cool there. And that's like a crazy opportunity that we've gotten to do, some of us now, and like it was so rad. Brian Fox has helped me so much in the past. All those guys. I mean, I don't know. Where do we go? That's it.
Anyone you missed,
No.
they know. Right?
Yeah, exactly. Anybody that you missed
I hope
knows.
they know. I mean, or if that maybe they'll do one of these things and realize how much your mind goes completely blank
Dude,
once
it's
it comes down to actually doing it. But
Well, I think you did a great job. I had a blast chatting with you.
Yes.
thank you. You guys too. That was fun. It's crazy to do this. It's cool. You guys have like really built out something insane. And I didn't even I knew it was big now, but I didn't know to the level that you have it at. And it's amazing. I'm just happy to have gotten to do a little piece of this, and hopefully people like it and whatever. It's cool.
Oh yeah, people, you're gonna get a lot of love. And so thank you so much to everybody that listened. If you don't already, don't forget to subscribe, whatever platform you're on. And thank you so much if you're a Patreon member. And I don't know, man, this community just feels like it keeps getting stronger and better. So thank you guys for listening and watching each and every week. And we will see you next week. Over and out from the bomb hole.